live a couple minutes early.
Nice to see you.
I'm still watching Mr. Bill. So hopefully some people will join in.
Let's go back and see what else is in the rest of the news. But you're going to be ready to go there, and then I'll radio there in a little bit, and he's gonna talk about whatever the chat wants to talk about there. They want to go, Will, I talked about Will over there for you. Whatever was on your lines. You know, I like to talk about what's on your lines too, but usually when I see something in the chat, she may not have much of a YouTube page. I saw her in a chat. Most of her stuff is done on Twitter over there, but if somebody
I think I got my first viewer. Welcome. Like I said, I'm going to wait a minute and see if anybody joins in. I started a couple minutes early. I'm still watching Mr. Bill's feed. But welcome to whoever's here already. Thank you for joining in.
The whole situation there, what's going on in Portland there. Watch this while I see if I can find that Divine Mary thing.
Drugs, a massive amount that ends up all over the world, and especially the United States.
If you don't watch Mr. Bill, it's only a Mr. Bill channel. Like I said, that's what I'm watching now. I didn't want to step on his toes, so I'm kind of waiting for him to be done. I think he promised to raid me in my chat, so yeah, Bill and I got a good working relationship. Mr. Bill's a good dude. And if you don't watch the Only a Mr. Bill channel, hopefully I can get somebody in my chat to post a link. I'm on my phone. I got a weird setup. I don't know how to do all that right now. But yeah, if you're not familiar with Only a Mr. Bill, you should be.
I'm kind of just in shock. Like, I thought that was a good thing, right? Venezuela is not known to manufacture drugs, but they're known to transport drugs, specifically from Colombia. That border.
If I keep looking up,
I mean,
it's because I'm filming on my phone, but I'm watching on the TV so I can actually see chat. I'm old, so sometimes it's hard for me to read the chat on my phone.
As you can see here from the back there, that's Haley.
So I'm going to put it on the big screen here in my room so that I can actually see your guys' comments. Enjoy his chat community and his streams. Yes, amen. Is that, I see Britt. Welcome, Britt. I know you were in Mr. Bill's.
Anyway, I think that guy or Digital's going to kind of work with them on some of the fraud that's going on in Portland and Oregon. Anywho.
I can kind of read the chat, so if anybody wants to ask a question or something in the meantime.
Here she is. Somebody was looking for, I couldn't find it on YouTube either.
So I gotta squint a little to see. That's why I'm gonna put it on the TV so I can see really good. And don't mind the mess behind me. Holy crap, he must have just rated me. I just went up to a bunch of viewers.
It's not a bad place. You don't even have to write anything. It just gives a good place for.
Go ahead and change it on my TV.
Like that also.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Bill. That's pretty awesome. Let's go to subscriptions. Let's see if it tells me I'm live. There it is. Turn it on. Still figuring out this technology. There I am. Tell me live chat. I'm going to turn the sound down so I don't hear myself because that's annoying. Successfully connected. All right, I think this should work. Like I said, I'm just going to try to watch the TV. Oops, I don't think the link copied correctly. I don't know. I don't see a link in there, so apparently it did not. Yeah, Britt, if you want to put a link to Mr. Bill's channel, that would be awesome because I promote him as much as I can. He's a real one. I've been friends with him for quite some years out on the streets. So, yeah, in case there's anybody not watching, we're in the same area. I'm also in the Portland area. I'm a bit outside Portland. I've lived in Portland since New Year's of 95. So basically since 1996, 30 years now. And for those of you who live in the Portland area, if there are some of you, you'll understand I've been slowly and gradually moving farther and farther away from Portland every time I make a move. I live it takes me about an hour to get down to ICE to downtown Portland from here now. So I'm a little bit outside of the Portland metro area, but Portland's the major city in our area, so I'm still near Portland. So yeah, anyways, all of our events and activism and everything are centered around Portland and Salem. So Bill and I are all the time at the same place at the same time. And I appreciate Mr. Bill. Even before I started live streaming and stuff like that, Mr. Bill was somebody that I watched, somebody that I promoted. Oh, wow. My viewer count is bouncing up and down rapidly, so I'm going to stop watching that. So my premise of this is I've got like 5 or 6 different things that I have opinions on that probably should be talked about, but I'm going to let you guys ask questions. I really didn't make a game plan for this. I'm not set up yet. I just moved, so that's why I don't mind the mess behind me. I don't have my studio set up. That's why I'm sitting on the edge of my bed right now, trying to stay comfortable. And I can't do the news clips and everything to back up my opinion like Bill does. But if you want to hear, I'll definitely tell you, and I'll tell you what I know and what I don't know. The big things, there's the Tommy Boy thing is probably on a lot of people's minds. Venezuela, obviously. Got other stuff, other stuff going on, but those are probably the 2 big ones right now. We had a taxation, what do they call it? A tax strike rally yesterday that I live streamed that I was at, obviously. There's plenty of things, whatever you guys want to talk about. If nobody's going to ask any questions, I'll start out with my opinion on Venezuela. And I'm not sure that I don't have a mainstream opinion. And that's the weird thing. And that's why I've been hesitant to discuss it. I'm trying to employ critical thinking. And my train of thought, okay, so I'm kind of 50-50 on it still. I'm still making up my mind where I'm at, positive or negative, support or detract. One of the reasons we as a people voted for Trump, he ran on no new wars. And I'm afraid that this Venezuela situation is going to turn into a war. Now, don't get me wrong. People are saying right now that the morons downtown are saying, no war for oil, blah, 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 blah. We didn't have a war. We had a mission. It was one solitary thing or one isolated thing in order to accomplish a task, accomplish a goal. And they did it. They were successful. Much props to our military, especially special forces that were undoubtedly employed in this. It seems like they did a good job, as usual. They know what they're doing. We have, in my opinion, we have the greatest military force on the planet, and we can pull something like that off to where we can just go in and extract somebody with little to no very minimal, collateral damage. Everybody's talking about, I've seen people being bombed. From what I've heard, again, with minimal research on it, I'm going to say that what they attacked was a military base on Caracas. For some of you who don't know, Maduro is in charge of the military, and, this is part of the lefty hypocrisy. Is they don't like dictators, they don't like coups, they don't like people forcing their way into power. But Maduro did all of that, and he's ruled with an iron fist. Whether or not he's labeled on paper as the actual president of that country, he ruled that country at least since 2019. Again, minimal research here, so I don't know the exact date, but it's been a while. Long enough to know that the other administration had a $25 million bounty on his head. They went from no kings to supporting a dictator. Exactly. It's crazy. I made a Facebook post. I said the left says, I don't remember the post, but anyways, everything that they accuse Trump of being a dictator, being a fascist, being an iron fist ruler, being all of these things, um, Maduro was. And how can you be against somebody like that being removed? He was not doing good for the Venezuelan people. Venezuela should be one of the top dogs, should be a first world country. With all the money and the resources and everything they have in their connections with the Western world, Venezuela should Venezuela should be somewhere we want to go vacation. Venezuela should be one of the voices in the room when the big dogs talk. But because it's run by a fascist, because it's run by a dictator, and a greedy dictator that felt like instead of being in bed with America, he was in bed with other dictatorships like China and Russia, because it made him money, because it gave him power. And that's not a legitimate president. Oh, I gotta, hold on. My grandson is trying to steal the show from me. But yeah, I mean, he was legitimately, to put it simply, he was a bad person. He should not have been there. And I'm finding out a little bit more about the Monroe Doctrine. I'm embarrassed to admit I didn't know a whole lot about it. And he was legitimately a threat to Western interests. So he had to go. Apparently he's been given opportunities to be a better leader, but the thing is he wasn't he wasn't a legitimate leader. He wasn't elected in a legitimate election. He's a dictator that stole his power. So I'm the type of person that thinks America should, you should clean your own kitchen before complaining about somebody else's. Make sure your own backyard is clean before you call the cops on somebody else's dirty backyard. I think America should tend to we have enough problems. We have a lot of stuff going on in our country that demands our attention. And we need to stay out of Israel and Gaza. We need to stay out of Ukraine and Russia. We need to stay out of Venezuela. That's kind of my base opinion. I think America should, tend to American problems. I'm not, contrary to being a conservative and conservative values, I'm not, to use I hate this phrase, but I'm not an imperialist. I understand that it happens. I understand that spreading your interests abroad helps your country, and we live in the greatest nation on the planet, and we're spoiled rotten because of imperialism. And that's how the world develops. The entire global situation that we live in today is created from imperialism. And I understand that's how it works. I'm not a fan of it. If I was in a country, I don't want somebody taking over America. So, my empathy says I'm sure other people in other countries don't want to be taken over by America. Okay, so I get that. But on the other hand, the flip side of that coin, the Monroe Doctrine, we have a right and a responsibility to intervene when a foreign power is creating harm to Western nations. And I'm being convinced, I'm not 100% convinced yet, but I'm being convinced that Venezuela is a harm to the Western Hemisphere. It's a drug economy. And apparently quite a lot of those drugs end up on our streets. As somebody who works with underserved communities, I guess they call them, homeless people, drug addicts, ex-drug addicts, recovering people, people that are trying to get their lives in order. I actually work with those people. I interact with a whole facility full of those people every night. A part of my job is working at homeless shelters. Organizations that I belong to do charity events for people in those circumstances, people that need some help because of their situation. So I'm an empathetic person. I see firsthand every day, every night, as the case may be, because I work third shifts, every night, all night. And it's kind of amplified on my shift because I get the homeless drug population wandering onto my property and trying to interact with recovering addicts and people that shouldn't be hanging around with drug addicts anymore. I see the drug epidemic up close and personal every night. I have no sympathy for anyone who contributes to the drug problem in America. That's kind of the bottom line there. If you are creating the problem that I see every night, you get no love from me. So as much as I don't want us bombing and interfering in other countries, if you're helping to create that problem, I have no sympathy for you, and I guess I'm okay with it. I guess, you know, if you're going to do, if you can prove to me, and that's the thing, is I'm still at a wait and see point. If you can prove to me that what you're doing to Venezuela is going to help with the drug crisis that I see every night, then I'm for it. Then I'm gonna, hey, I'm all for it. Rah rah, let's go team. Not doing as much research as I have on Maduro, I'm going to reserve a little bit of hesitancy in there. But like I said, for the most part, if you're going to help with the drug problem, then do what you got to do. Go for it. Because it's not okay. And I've seen special people. I mean, any person, of course, but I've seen people that have so much potential and can do so much good get just ruined by drugs. And then they ruin the lives of everybody around them. And sometimes they go so far as to ruin the community around them. I'm not pro-drug at all. So, you know, I'm going to say go team if this helps with the drug problem. But that's my opinion. Please leave some comments and let me know. I don't want to just talk. I want to interact with you guys. So let me know if you think I'm full of crap. Please, I can take some criticism. Let me know. Because like I said, I'm employing critical thinking. I'm not going to jump on it just because Trump did it. I'm not going to be against it just because Trump did it. I want to know what the real is. I want to know what the actual full context is and make a judgment from there, because I can see both sides of the coin. But what I can't see, what I can't understand, what I can't fully comprehend is these simpletons, these bandwagon riders, these people that are protesting downtown. First of all, don't try to tell me that somebody isn't paying for that crap. I'm not going to go down the Soros rabbit hole. We're not going to discuss that. But you can't tell me that before I even had, because I was at the rally yesterday, live streaming, and then I had some things to do afterwards. And then I came home, took a nap because I work third shift and I've been doing a lot of daytime stuff lately. So I had to take a nap. And I remember somebody commenting on my live stream. They said, Trump is bombing Venezuela right now. And I said, oh crap, I gotta go home and check it out. But unfortunately I fell asleep before I could. And then I woke up to, Tommy Boy is live. So I'm like, oh, okay, what's he doing? And I turn on and see giant mega protest in downtown Portland hours after it happened. Same signs in DC, LA, and Oregon. Yeah, right? It's incredibly organized. And I looked at my wife and I said, they were waiting for this. This isn't organic. This didn't just happen. Excuse me. They were waiting for this to happen and had this organized, and they were waiting for the sign. They were waiting for for the button to push and say, all right, PC, or what do they call it? NPCs go. They were waiting for it. And yeah, we have not just handwritten signs. I did a sign check yesterday during my live stream, and you didn't see professionally printed signs. You didn't see things with organizations labeled in the bottom corner. All of the signs in the crowd were handmade. There was, and a lot of them right there and then. You can probably see in my live stream, I went to a tent that had a bunch of signs sitting at the bottom of it, leaning against a table or whatnot, whatever it was. And there was blank sheets and markers, because people were going down there and saying, I need a sign, and creating it right there on the spot organically. It was happening right in front of your eyes. It was real. It was grassroots. It was homegrown. It was from the heart. It was real. This crap last night was not. And if you turned on the live streams, like there was one lefty live streamer down there at ICE, all the people from ICE, other than a select few that were probably too lazy to walk up there or something, or not smart enough to take TriMet, all the major people from the ICE protest were at Waterfront Park in front of the Navy Memorial. I saw a lot of them in the live streams from the MAGA live streamers that were down there. I recognized all these voices and all these faces, and blowies and costumes, and all of this was just transplanted from the ICE protest. It's the same people, and they're just looking for something to make noise about. And whatever organizations are funding it and organizing it are giving them that outlet to do that. I got to remember one thing. Little side note. For some reason, it's taking a little bit of time for my live streams to publish and be put on my channel once I'm done live streaming. I don't know why it's taking so long, but oh well, they're doing it. Well, I got a copyright strike on yesterday's live stream because my wife called me, and our wedding song happens to be Beautiful Crazy from Luke Combs. It's kind of an inside joke. We actually she walked down the aisle to that song. Happy birthday to Jenny Tolles. I don't know who that is, but happy birthday, Jenny Tolles. 20 years young today. Sweet, happy birthday. I got a copyright strike for 5 seconds of my ringtone. YouTube is absolutely crazy. And the funny thing is, they said, well, you're not going to get monetized. Fools, I'm not monetized yet anyways. I don't even have 300 subscribers. I got a long way to go. And I'm not worried about it anyways. I have enough subscribers on my other channel to get monetized, and I have not done a single thing about it. Because apparently you got to go in and register and do all this other crap. I'm not going to waste my time for 17 cents a month. Because the advertisers don't care about a little channel, and even if it was, they don't care about the stuff I'm putting out there. Nobody's going to advertise on my live streams because I'm pro-conservative. But anyway, so yeah, I had to make sure that my ringtone doesn't go off in the middle of this so I don't get another copyright strike. Because even though I'm not worried about monetization, howdy Oregonian, howdy again, Miss Ray Snooks, how you doing? Cut your scraggly beard. Yeah, it's I brushed it out, so it's kind of poofy right now. I don't grow hair very well. I'm Norwegian and American Indian, and apparently neither one of those are really hairy people. So Takes me a long time. This right here is like 5 years of growing my beard. So I got what I got, and then I'm gonna keep it. But anyways, yeah. So what were we talking about? We were talking about the boneheads downtown, which leads me to something else everybody's talking about, the whole Tommy episode. Sure, everybody's got their opinion on the Tommy episode. Um, One of the things that has been an issue, um, because we tend to talk about petty things when there's no big things, is BCP saying and me agreeing with them about how it's dead down there and there's no real Antifa down at ICE. Last night, Tommy got a little taste of what we were talking about. Unfortunately, I wish it hadn't happened. I'm not saying it was good, and I'm not saying, you learned a lesson. Don't take me wrong on that. Uh, Last night was a giant pile of BS. I'm a little bit upset. I had thought about following Tommy. Um, I thought he was just going to go down to the ICE building, but I heard him say he was going to go do something else later. So I thought he was going to be at ICE, and I thought about jumping in the car and following them up there. But like I said, I was really, really tired. Uh, so I went home, and then when I woke up from my nap and I turned it on just about the time that the sucker puncher was getting arrested. Mr. Oregon, when is Oregon going to get a D1 hockey program? Yeah, somebody said that in Bills too, probably you. Uh, you want my honest answer to that? Portland does not have enough testosterone to support a hockey team. Brother, I'm from the Great Lakes region. Um, the kids I grew up with, smack get right with your head. I don't know what that means. The kids I grew up with were learning how to play ice hockey before middle school. I'm from Toledo, Ohio. I'm from Cleveland, Ohio. And yeah, the kids in the suburb I lived in for a while, they were sending people to college on hockey scholarships. So I grew up around hockey. I'm not a good ice skater, so I could never play hockey. And when I was younger, I was like the smallest kid my age, so it wouldn't have been smart for me to play hockey anyways, but I did not have the coordination to ice skate. So I never got into hockey. Played some street hockey every once in a while with my friends because a lot of my friends were into hockey, but never good at it. I didn't play major sports until I was about 18, 19, years old, because I grew up a small kid until I hit puberty and grew about a foot and 40 pounds in a year. But I was the smallest kid around all the time, getting picked on, getting beat up. Part of being a kid. And we moved around a lot, so I was always the new kid on top of it. And I had a mouth way bigger than my rear end. And then I hit puberty and started getting into sports around 17, 18 years old. So anyways, yeah. Portland can't even support an NFL team. And I know there's a lot of NFL supporters that are soy filled. If you can, basically, I think the only reason we're into soccer is because it's international. And we can field a girls team, so that appeals to Portland. But there's nowhere near enough testosterone in Portland. We can't even get a baseball team, for goodness sakes. We have a little AAA, AA, something, minor league baseball team called the Volcanoes in Kaiser, and they do fairly well, but their stadium is maybe 10,000 people, maybe less than that. LA King and Ducks plus the minor league teams, yeah. But Portland, any kind of manly sport, Portland's not going to be a big supporter of. Portland is feminist capital of USA. I'm not sure if statistically that bears out, but it sure feels like it living here. Our sport is protesting. If they had intercity, intercity against city games of protesting, Portland would win. That's our sport. That's our game. That's our, and Antifa is our is our major sports team when the sport is protesting. That's what we win at. Toledo only has cool team Toledo Walleye. Whatever happened to the Mud Hens that Klinger used to talk about all the time? Now I'm going to show my age. I'm going to wonder how many you put a one in the chat if you know what I'm talking about. Klinger talking about the Toledo Mud Hens. Put a one in the chat if you know what I'm talking about. I want to see who else is my age in here. Forgot about them. Miami Dolphins are my guilty pleasure. I'm a Buckeyes fan. It's been a rough week, but I was told when I moved out here you had to get into college football because Portland doesn't have a real football team. So you had to choose between the Ducks and the Beavers. And I said, no, I'm gonna keep rooting for my home team, even though it's not my home anymore. And I'm fortunate enough that the Buckeyes are a good team most of the time. This week, notwithstanding, in the last 4 Michigan games up until this year, notwithstanding. Yep, the Toledo Mud Hens. Like I said, if you know what I'm talking about, then we can be friends. I used to hate that show. My dad was a huge fan of that show and would make us sit and watch it when we were kids because we didn't, back in those days we had one TV in the living room and whatever Dad wanted to watch, that's what we watched. Now wait a minute, you just said you're from Toledo, so you should be a Buckeye fan. I know technically it's a quicker drive to get to. Is it Lansing that Michigan's in? Just tell me you're not a Michigan fan. Anyways, I don't know how we ended up talking about sports, but just tell me you're not a fan of the team up north. But yeah, like I said, world famous Toledo Mud Hens, Detroit Tigers minor league team. Yep. But they got made famous. I'll put it here because I don't got a lot of ones. But if you ever watch MASH, M-A-S-H, MASH. Do 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 do. Klinger, the cross-dressing nurse, because he was trying to get out of the army. Was it the Korean War? Tell me I'm right. I'm pretty sure MASH was about the Korean War. Dude in a dress. Yes. Klinger was in a dress, and it wasn't because they were promoting trannyism or cross-dressing or anything like that. Klinger did it actually to try to get sent out of the army. If you watch the show, he wasn't being pro-alternative lifestyle, and then it just became a joke. Back when men dressing, yeah, exactly. Back when men dressing as a woman was a joke, and that's why Klinger did it. And he thought he was going to get what's the word I'm thinking of? He was going to get transferred out of the army or sent back to the mainland, sent back to America for mental health reasons. Because back in the day, a man dressing up in a dress, especially in that kind of environment, was a mental health issue, and they recognized that. It's funny how, 30 years later, however long it's been, I think MASH was in the 70s, maybe early 80s. I remember it, so it has to be the late 70s, early 80s. But, go blue. Yeah, now you're going to troll me on this for the whole rest of the time, aren't you? Just take pride in the fact that we just lost and got kicked out of the playoffs, and just leave it at that, please. It's an open wound right now, sir. It's an open wound, so please take some mercy. 74, but they ran for a lot of years. A lot of years, because I remember my dad still watching it when, hell, I was in high school, which is the mid-80s. So they ran for a lot longer than 74. I don't know how long they were making new episodes or whatever. I'd have to look all that up. But anyways, my point is that was back in the time when one of the most popular shows on television, because MASH was huge, they made fun of a man dressing like a woman. Because they realized it was comedy. It was a mental illness that they joked about. And now they're passing laws to protect people that do it. That's how much things have changed in my lifetime. Um, Create, well, okay, so here's full disclosure. Now you guys will know how old I am. I will turn 56 here in approximately 5 weeks. I was born in 1970. It makes for easy math. In about 5 weeks, I will turn 56 and be eligible to eat off the senior menu. Yay. So I grew up throughout the 70s, but you don't remember your early years. I guess my earliest real memories are mid to late 70s. That's when you're old enough to remember your major life events. And I'm smack in the center of Gen X. Drank from the hose, made, bicycle ramps out of, construction stuff that my uncle was throwing away. How in the world? Hey, you want to say hi? You want to say hi? Say hi to everybody. It's my grandson. Say hi to the camera. Say hi. Everybody sees you. Say hi, Jimmy. This is little Jimmy. No, yeah, you can't play with that. Say hi to the camera. Because look on the TV. Look, you're on the TV. Jimmy, look up there. Look up there at the TV. There you are. Yeah. All right, you go with mommy now, okay? Okay, you go with mommy.
You definitely don't have to lock this. He would.
I did lock it. You just have to pick locks now. All right. Cameo appearance from my 2.5-year-old grandson, who obviously knows how to pick locks. I had the door locked. You guys saw me go over there and lock it. But yeah, he wants to be, he's a papa's boy. He wants to be by papa all the time. Now he's screaming in the living room. So if you hear that in the background, no, we're not killing a child. He's just upset he can't come in here and sit with papa. But speaking of that, that kind of ties into what we're talking about. What's that poor guy got to look forward to? What is his world going to look like in 17 years, 18 years, when he's at the age to start making decisions? I guess 16 and a half years. What kind of world are we leaving for him? That's what I think about every day when I see him and I go to walk out the door. I walk out the door thinking, what am I going to do today to make a better world for him to grow into? All of my children, and if any of them watch this, they'll definitely point this out. I wasn't the greatest father. I wasn't there for a couple of them. I have a very checkered past. I made a lot of mistakes. Unfortunately, I have grandchildren that I've never met, and it breaks my heart. I mean, forgive me if I sound a little emotional about it, but circumstances are such that my stepson and his lady and my 2-year-old grandson live with us. So I am helping raise my grandson. And every day I think about what's happening around us out there. Every day I think, how am I going to teach him to be a man when the world out there does not promote men? How am I going to teach him to be a father and a husband somewhere down the road when today's society demonizes husbands and fathers in what they call toxic masculinity? What they call toxic masculinity, I call it doing your best for your family. Doing the best you can to give them the best you can. That's what they call toxic masculinity, and they're demonizing it. They're vilifying it. If we don't do something about it, if we continue to allow, take a look at the live streams from last night. There's a whole lot of, oh, my grandson doesn't need to be in the gym, trust me. He's damn near stronger than I am already. That kid's unreal He's a little beefcake. Look at the live stream and look how many young adults and late teens are in the crowd. It makes me wonder, do they even have parents? And if they do, what kind of parents are they? Now, mind you, okay, here's the caveat. Because I made mistakes, I tried when I was raising my children, I tried to raise them with conservative values the best I could. I also raised them to be open-minded, but I said, hey, you make up your own mind, but this is what I think is right, and this is, and you make up your own mind from there. And then unfortunately, due to circumstances and my own mistakes, I didn't get to finish raising them through their teenage years. And how much can he lift, bro? You don't want to know. I've seen him pick some stuff up that a 2-year-old should not be picking up. He goes into my shop behind me sometimes, and I see him just running around with my weights in his hand, just playing with my, with my dead weight. But anyways, I believe, due to our experience when we were married, that my ex-wife of some of my children, the mother of some of my children, is kind of apolitical. She doesn't really give a crap about politics or whatever, and comes from a fairly conservative family, but not real conservative herself. I think she just doesn't care. She's more worried about day-to-day stuff. And I think when I left when I left the picture, that conservative influence disappeared, and now they're liberal. And I've said it before that if circumstances and geography were a little different, they live quite the ways away from Portland now, that a couple of my daughters may be down there in protesting lines themselves. I've always thought about that during my activism, because my children are grown now. They're all adults, and some of them have children of their own. What happens if I'm down there standing face to face with an Antifa line and a mask gets pulled down and I see one of my kids? That's a scary thought. Or I see my niece, or, somebody that I know that has kids. What if I end up seeing one of their kids down there standing on the opposite line doing Antifa stuff? Because that's the world we live in now, especially out here in the Portland area. Now, I understand some of you that don't live out here may think, well, that's not, that's not real. You're exaggerating. If you lived out here in this environment, or if you live in another state that's similar, but the West Coast especially, more often than not, unless you have some iron grip on your children, they are going to become screaming liberals, because the schools, the media, their friends, and now we have social media, everything is pushing them to be liberal. So with that said, every day our world, the only line I've been in is a picket line with other Teamsters. Yeah, that's what you deal with up there in the Great Lakes area. With those are our children. They are. Yeah, I believe it takes a village to raise a child, always. But they're trying really, really hard to create Antifa. To put it bluntly, Portland schools will actually take kids from classrooms, and their teacher will excuse them from class and take them to a protest where they're shutting down a major bridge in downtown Portland. You will see high school kids being led through a protest by their school teacher. That's a real thing, guys. They have literally shut down high schools because so many kids wanted to go to downtown Portland and engage in the giant protest that they just called school off for the day. That's what Portland does. And I'm sure in other extremely liberal cities, the same things happen. And we entrust schools with our children for what, 8 hours a day. And that's what they're being fed. That's what they're being taught. That's how they're being indoctrinated. Because we're so busy trying to feed and clothe and house our family that we have no choice. Some families don't have the option to homeschool. So we send them to get taught this 8 hours a day. I don't want to get into the whole story because if my daughter ever watches this, it'll embarrass her. But when she was in first grade, and she came home, and it all started with her saying she didn't want to eat dinner because she's going to become a vegan or vegetarian or whatever it was at the time in first grade, and then started rambling all this stuff off that her liberal, I'm going to be nice, liberal teacher was feeding her all day. And I ended up at the school damn near getting the cops called on me. Because I said, you do not force feed my daughter all this to where she brings it up and interrupts our dinner over it. It's not your job to teach my daughter these things. It's your job to teach my daughter how to read and write and count and interact with other children in a positive way. That's what school is for. Group thinking is a big problem. You're absolutely correct. My youngest are less than 2 years apart. Irish twins. They're completely opposite. My daughter's liberal. My son oh my goodness. Yeah, there's got to be a lot of fighting in that household. Yeah, that's, I don't envy you on that one, Ellen Thompson. That, woof. But it was almost the opposite. Like all the things I was supposed to be teaching my daughter, the school was teaching the opposite. And then the stuff the school was supposed to be teaching, I was having to teach it at home. Do you have black fatigue? Whew, that is a loaded question. Raw dog. Raw dog. I love your name, by the way. Yes and no. Little background. I have to laugh when people call me racist, because 9 times out of 10, I can guarantee the people that are calling me racist are white people that know less black people than I've forgotten. K2, keep on trucking. I'm assuming you're a trucker. I'm assuming you drive, being from Toledo. I assume that you find yourself in Cleveland quite a bit, probably. You can confirm this, that Cleveland's really black. It doesn't get the attention that some of the others, but you look at Chicago, Baltimore, Minneapolis, you look at all of the negative press that comes from their slums and their hoods and their underserved communities. Well, Cleveland is a giant, giant pool of that. And that's what I grew up in. When I went to 4 different high schools. Your route goes to the Detroit area. Well, it's the same thing, but different city. When I went to a high school called East Technical High School on the east side of Cleveland, and it was on 55th Street, 55th Avenue, whatever they called it. It was on 55th, and it was literally in the middle of the projects. For those of you who aren't familiar with that term, tenements, Brick City, watch gangster movies other than Los Angeles, where they're in brick public housing. That's the projects. I was a tiny little white kid, and because of busing, I got sent down to East Technical High School in the middle of the projects, and we had RTA, which is public busing. So we had 2 buses. We had to take public busing, didn't get a yellow bus, and got sent down into the middle of the projects. So a roughly 2,000 student school and there were 2 bus loads, which I'm going to say 25 to 50 white kids from hillbilly, redneck, West Virginia imported neighborhood. The people in our neighborhoods were mostly hillbillies and rednecks, and we got sent into the projects 2 bus loads in a 2,000 person school. So you got under 50 white students in the middle of 1,950 black and Hispanic kids, mostly black. We were on the east side. The Hispanics mostly lived on the west side. The only reason I survived, to put it bluntly, is because I was a weird white kid who could dance and sing. And I loved R&B. And oddly enough, rap music came out when I was in junior high with the Sugar Hill Gang and all of that. And I took to it because I was into music really big. And music was my gateway to interact with people that weren't like me. I got along with the black people a whole lot more than I got along with the white people. I grew up kind of sheltered. I wasn't allowed to listen to the music, so while all my kid friends were listening to Iron Maiden and Black Sabbath and Leonard Skinner and all that, I wasn't allowed to listen to it because I had hardcore Christian parents. But then I went to school and listened to R&B and black music. Music doesn't have a color, but I'm sure you guys all know what I mean. And I took to it. I loved R&B to this day. I still listen to. I listen to country rap now. People look at me funny. I'm a mid-50s and I'm jamming to Adam Calhoun and Tom McDonald, not McDonald's. I'm hungry, forgive me. But, did I get a text? No, just a missed call. Okay. But yeah, so music was my bridge. Music was the reason I didn't get beat up, and because contrary to popular belief, and I'm going to say this, and I'm on the record, and I'm sure somebody will probably snap it and clip it and twist it, but in my experience growing up, black people were way more prejudiced than white people. I literally spent half my school day on May Day locked in a locker and had to go home with no shoes because my parents didn't understand what May Day meant. And so I was one of the few white kids that had to go to school on May Day. And May Day back then meant something different than Portlanders think May Day means. Back when I grew up, May Day meant time to get back at Whitey. And like I said, I've spent many a May Day getting tortured because of the prejudice of black people. And we won't get into, it's because of years of oppression and yada, yada, yada. Yeah, I get the whole argument. I really do. Like I said, I grew up with black people. I was the only white kid that was allowed to run around in Brick City on a Friday night. Little tiny 110 pound, 5'3", whatever I was back then, little curly headed blonde white boy. And I was allowed to walk through the projects by myself because I had enough influential black friends that nobody wanted to mess with me. And because I wasn't racist, because I wasn't raised to be racist. My dad's best friend when I was little, my dad's best friend was a giant black guy. I remember we lived in a trailer when I was young, and I remember him, he used to have to duck. He was like 6'10" or something. He used to have to duck to walk around in our trailer. Black guy pantsed my sister, and I have like 28 cousins, Melissa's back. The school said it was a race fight. But, I forget where I was going with this. I really do. I laugh when people call me racist because these kids just don't know. Not a very large black population in the Portland area. We have people of color. We have black. I'm going to just call them black people. If you don't like it, I'm sorry. But I grew up with black people, and that's what they call each other, and that's what it is, man. It's what it is. I still have black friends, and you ask them, no, I'm black. I'm not African American. I've never been to Africa. My family, as far as I know, for generations back, has never been to Africa. So we're not African American. Just like I'm not Norwegian American. I've never been to Norway. My bloodline comes from Norway. But I'm not Norwegian American. I'm American. But anyways, and I'm white. Obviously I'm not white. I'm pinkish. Most of my friends aren't black. Now I have met some black people that are black, like deep dark black. But usually the black people, they call each other blue when that happens, which is kind of weird. I never understood that. I guess it's so black you're blue or something. I don't know. But black people, when they're really dark, they call each other blue, which is funny. But anyways, like I completely forgot what we were talking. I'm 1% Nigerian. You know what's funny is everybody that does these 23andMe or whatever, these bloodline tests, they always say that they're part African. I guess that just confers the Bible, because the Bible says we all came from the Garden of Eden. So whatever, and maybe Adam and Eve had dark skin. I don't know. And I don't really care. I don't really care. It's fun to say I'm a Viking. When people bring up the Native American thing, it's fun to tell people, hell, I'm part Blackfoot. So what are you saying? But most of the time, who cares? Who cares? Anyways, that's my opinion on that. I completely forget why I started that line of talking, and nobody's reminding me. Somebody's saying it's time for the next subject. So last night at the end of the rally, I wasn't at the rally yesterday evening. Is that what we're talking about? When the Antifa family got shoved away? Is that what we're talking about? Because I will definitely discuss that. I have some strong opinions on that. I'm a real American. Yeah, well, if you were born in America, you're a Native American. Nobody likes to discuss that, but that's the actual definition. Yeah, so you're talking about that at the end of my stream yesterday. And then I actually kept an eye on the Antifa family. So as everything was breaking down, which is kind of funny, because if any of you have ever been to a rally where the Proud Boys actually bring their stage and whatnot, the Proud Boys are always the last ones there, because they are breaking down their stage, hooking the trailer back up. They're tearing down the event, while everybody else was running to get out of the rain. The Proud Boys and other Patriot men were there breaking down everything and getting everything in the truck so it didn't get all wet, and unplugging speakers and whatnot. So at the end of the rally, there is nothing there but fighting aged men. We'll put it that way. This guy decides to come from out of the bushes, and he had his family with him, but his family walked on the outskirts. He decides to walk right into the middle of it, and I'm not sure what was said, but he said something, and if I'm incorrect, somebody tell me, because it's on a live stream. I'm not sure if I caught it or if I saw it on somebody else's live stream, but I think it was Shane. Who was filming him, and the guy turned around and tried to knock his camera out of his hand, something or other. And that got everybody's attention. That's what got my attention. And then I started filming him in the middle of what was left of our crowd. And he decides that he's going to puff out his shoulders and start yelling at people and whatever. And the next thing you know, of course, he's surrounded by a dozen people telling him GTFO. Meanwhile, his family, which consisted of who I'm guessing is the mom, and about 3 or 4 young kids, are standing 20 feet away, not knowing what to do. And he's antagonizing, trying to get a violent response from the Patriots, while his young kids are 20 feet away, watching this whole thing go down, and dressed like Antifa, and the mom is dressed like Antifa. And my first thought was for the kids. Obviously, I'm filming in case anything goes down. I want it to be documented by as many cameras as possible. But if you can notice my posture, I'm kind of at the front where I've got a beeline towards the kids if anything happens according to the kids. You remember Mr. Bill sent me here. Yeah, we love Mr. Bill. Mr. Bill, a lot of times, kind of avoids when he's at rallies and stuff, Mr. Bill's not an aggressive person, and he's not into the violence, and he's not into that physical drama. So Mr. Bill kind of backs off sometimes. I'm kind of the opposite. I'm like a fly or a moth to a flame, and just and zoom right in. But at that point, my primary thought was make sure that violence does not erupt within reach of the children. Well, finally, when he looked around and saw that several large men were not happy with him, he started walking down the sidewalk and kind of scurried very quickly and like kind of got in the circle with his kids. To me, that felt like he was using his kids as a human shield. I was not okay with that. I was not okay with that. You guys just saw my grandson come in, and instead of shooing him away, I'm going to get him involved to a certain extent, and I'm going to give him love, and I'm not going to tell him that wanting to be around me is bad. So I'm going to love him first, and then I'm going to say, you got to go out of the room, right? That's how I feel. That's how I feel everybody should be with children. Your first priority always is to protect children. And this idiot decided he was going to dress his children up as Antifa and go provoke a patriot rally. And I said this on my stream, I had thoughts of walking over there and enticing him around the corner and giving him some act right, because you just don't do that, man. You just don't do that. They ended up at the far end of the Capitol Mall, standing on side of the roads with their signs, and he had an upside down flag, and they're doing their little protesting in one spot. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. I really am. Don't agree with his message, but he has the right to do that. And if you want to teach your children to stand up for their opinion, I'm not going to argue that. I don't think the way he was doing it and the message that he was putting was, I don't agree with it. But if you want to teach your children to stand up for their opinion and their beliefs, I'm not going to argue with that. But do it in a safe manner. Realize, I am 6 foot, 230 pounds, and know how to fight. My 2.5-year-old grandson is not any of those things. My 2.5-year-old grandson could get severely hurt in a bad situation. Hell, I could. I'm not going to drag him to somewhere he could potentially get himself in danger. So I don't agree with that. Mr. Bill had a little, I watched his when he was restreaming me, and he was like, he disagrees with me. He thinks kids should be allowed down there. And I kind of understand his point. But as far as I'm concerned, and the things I've lived through and seen and dealt with in these activist circles, I don't think children have a place there. I don't. Quincy's wife had her kids at a church service, an outdoor church service, for Pete's sakes. Shouldn't have had no reason for Antifa to be there whatsoever, and had fireworks lobbed at them. A kid in a stroller had fireworks lobbed at him by Antifa because they had an outdoor church service. With the environment that we live in nowadays, it is not safe for children to be down there. So that's my opinion on that. Okay, he's a grown man. If he wants to go put himself in that situation, that's on him. Oh my, that's horrible. Yes, Tanya, that did happen. That did happen. I'm pretty sure Mr. Bill did something on it recently. We actually showed her crashing an interview, a lefty interview session a few days later, and she crashed it and just went off on everybody. And she had every right to do that. She was an angry mom. I've always loved Jamie. Jamie's a friend of mine, but after that, I had 1,000 times more respect for her. She was an angry bear, angry mama bear. Yep, angry mama bear. Do you worry if you had to save their kid, they might get mad at you? Not saying don't protect them, maybe that would put me in a bad situation, to be sure. Major hydraulic, thank you for commenting. That would put me in a bad situation, but at that moment, I wouldn't care. At that moment, all I would care about the kids. If I have to take a beating for a kid, I'll jump in line for it. I don't care. I'm incredibly capable of taking care of myself, so there's not much chance of that happening, to be completely honest, other than the fact that I'm kind of old and brittle and decrepit now, but I know how to defend myself very well. So there's not a huge chance of me getting hurt, but there is always a chance. I tell everybody, no matter how big and bad you are, there's always somebody bigger and badder. And then when you get numbers involved, there's only so much you can do when you're outnumbered. So there's always that chance. And I know that, and I take that risk. If you bring your kid, don't go looking for trouble. Exactly. That's all I'm saying. Because I know there's patriots that bring their kids to events too. Especially, I went to the Charlie Kirk vigil in Wilsonville, and it was a nighttime vigil. And I was concerned because it was dark. It was a candlelight vigil, and we're in a darkish park. Thankfully, there were a lot of sheriffs there, a lot of cops there, and monitoring the situation. So Antifa never showed up. But I was worried about that because there were a ton of children. They even had a group of children fold up the big flag and everything, which was inspiring, which was really cool. But at the same time, I'm like, we're in a dark park at night, provoking Antifa. Sadly, that's what it amounts to. But yeah, and we have a bunch of children here, and that's a potentially. So I spent the entire Charlie Kirk vigil walking around in circles around the perimeter, making sure there were no Antifa. What age kids are we talking about here? Hey, I know who that is, Two Arms Auditor. Well, you tell me, what age kids are we talking about? The kids that were there yesterday were pre-junior high. I'm talking like maybe 10, 11, 12-year-old kids. A couple of them were preschool. There was another family that came up and joined them afterwards, a family of like 3 or 4. And there were preschool age kids running around there. Not okay. We're not talking about 16, 17-year-old kids. That's a different story. That's a different story, and I think that's what you're getting at, and I will concede that. 16, 17-year-old kids. Oregon resident here. I don't go to Portland unless I have to, and I bet you're a grown adult. So why would you take kids there? If as a grown adult, sometimes it's not safe. I've mentioned that in past live streams. There used to be times, I said, I'm an extremely capable grown-ass man, and I would not walk around downtown Portland by myself. It was that unsafe. When you get lefties and especially hardcore Antifa involved, it creates a very unsafe atmosphere. And then when you get Antifa and patriots together in the same place, it could potentially, it's explosive. It could be really, really bad. You shouldn't have kids anywhere near that. Kids shouldn't even be watching that, let alone get caught in the middle of it. I'm up by Astoria. Well, welcome from Astoria, Leo. I love Astoria. I haven't been up there in a while. I've actually done some work on the hotels up there and stuff. And I used to go to Long Beach every year for the Big Rod Run. I had some family that lived up in Long Beach. But yeah, I love Astoria. Anyways, that's what kind of kids we're talking about. There's a difference between a 12-year-old and a 17-year-old. 17-year-old, they're, that's different. They're mature-ish. Hopefully they've hit their growth spurt. Now, if it's a 4'2", not hit puberty yet 17-year-old, then that's different. But most 17-year-olds are grown enough to be exposed to stuff like that. But young kids know. Like I would say, Two Arms. I'm just going to throw it out there. Two Arms is my brother. So I may talk to him a little harsher than I talk to you guys, but we're brothers. But yeah, bro, my niece and nephew, no. Now, your kids that are older, different. But I'll tell you this, I wouldn't even take Paul down there. I wouldn't take Paul down there because he's not mature enough to handle that situation at that time. I've not taken Gary down there. Bring your white monster too. I don't do white monsters, and I don't drink White Claws. We all need to go to the Argurtha. I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is. Argurtha? Subscribe button is free. It is. Thank you for reminding everybody, Mr. Bill. But anyway, so that's what happened. And nobody laid hands on him, to the Patriots' credit. And there was one guy that said something awful about the kids really quick. And it was a kind of a verbal vomit kind of thing. And he did say something that was uncalled for about the kids. And to his credit, I kind of looked at him. He kind of looked at me. I think a couple other people looked at him too. And he stopped immediately. Didn't say another word about that. I think he immediately realized, okay, we're not gonna do that. I didn't even have to say anything to him. Nobody had to say anything to him. I think everybody could tell that he understood that was kind of out of bounds. And to his credit, didn't do it again. So nothing had to be said. He was like, oh shit, I shouldn't have said that. Probably in his head. He didn't say that out loud, obviously. But I'm pretty sure if if Patriots saw one of their own, even verbally attacking a 10 to 12-year-old, I think he wouldn't be welcome very long. I think Patriots would self-police enough. I know Patriots would self-police enough that would not continue. And he would not be welcome. So, you know, and that's the difference between us and Antifa in those situations, is Antifa doesn't care. They'll attack anybody, anyhow, anyway. Conservatives are not like that. Sometimes ugly things are said in the heat of the moment when everybody's testosterone's amped up, your anxiety's on high, you're on alert, you're just rah, 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 and stupid things get said. But you're not going to see a bunch of conservatives attacking a 12-year-old. That's not going to happen. It's definitely not going to happen on my watch. I don't care if it's somebody that I love and respect. If you're attacking a 12-year-old as a grown man, then you're going to get a talking to from me. So if there's anything else you want to know about that event, but I think I pretty much covered it. And you've tried to invade St. Helens, Oregon on one day, and they got right now. Yeah, I kind of remember hearing about that. They don't do so well. They stay in Portland because Portland's their playground. Because since back in the day, there are, and a lot of people don't know this, I'm not sure, I've kind of lost track a little bit since they've changed up their city council system. Everything's whacked in Portland right now. They've changed up their representation system and all of that. They're doing all kinds of weird crap in Portland City Hall. But for the last 10 years, there's actually been card-carrying Antifa members. Obviously, Antifa doesn't carry cards, but you know what I mean. Actual legitimate Antifa members sitting on Portland City Council. For instance, Joanne Hardesty, Skeletor. I have literally stood face to face with her on opposite sides of a police line while she's standing there with Black Bloc. Running for mayor, remember? Who's running for mayor? Are you running for mayor, Mr. Bill? Who's running for mayor? Oh, you're saying Antifa running for mayor. Yeah, that was going to be my next thing. A lot of you guys don't know the history between Patriots and Antifa since like about 2016. But there was a guy named Greg McElvery that started with the Hands Up, Don't Shoot, that was started by Teresa Rayford, who also ran in the mayor's race. Teresa Rayford did. She didn't get very far. But her little protege was Greg McElvery, whose mom works for Portland City Hall, go figure. He ends up being, if you guys remember Sarah Iannarone, Greg McElvery, one of the original hardcore Rose City Antifa, and Hands Up, Don't Shoot Portland, helped organize the BLM riots. Greg McElvery did all of that, and then basically got asked to leave town, so ended up in Atlanta. He became Sarah Iannarone's campaign manager. one of these days I'll do a video about my conspiracy theory, as it's called, about Jeremy Christian and his ties to Portland City Hall. But if you go down that rabbit hole, you find out that everybody involved in the TriMet stabbing with Jeremy Christian, other than Jeremy Christian, had connections to Chloe Eudaly, and that's 1 degree separation from Ted Wheeler, who was the mayor of Portland. Just a quick clip. I believe that Chloe Eudaly and Mayor Ted Wheeler organized the event that led to the TriMet stabbings. They were setting Jeremy Christian up to be a patsy to discredit Patriot Prayer, which was gaining a foothold in its infancy in Portland. And all of that's, if you want to know the whole connection, research Micah Fletcher and his connections to all of that, who was also a close friend of Craig McGillivray. All of these are the real old school Antifa. And, some of you may be part of the crowd that, Soriano got 24% against Wheeler, was totally cool with Antifa behavior. Yeah, it's kind of weird because Ted Wheeler supported Antifa until they were done with him, and then all of a sudden they turned on him. That's the old Antifa. Antifa had a foothold in Portland City Hall, and that's why they got away with everything they did. And the rumor is, and I have to do some research on this, but so there was, Mr. Bill was mentioning John Hacker. You got John Hacker, you got Luis Enrique, you got Greg McGillivray, you had Arminio until they shot him, and I'm still convinced that Antifa shot their own on that. I'm not sure if you know, but what happened to protests downtown Portland like 2020? Point it seemed everything moved to the ice building. Okay, I'm addressing that right now, Major Hydraulic. Okay, here's the deal. That was the old Antifa. 2020 and before was the old Antifa with all these people I'm talking about now. So what I'm told happened is during 2020 in the Summer of Love, when they had the protests in front of the federal building and the feds fought back a lot, tear gas, pepper balls, non-lethal, all of this stuff. Well, all of these Antifa went and sued Portland, because you can't sue the feds, but they sued Portland for allowing that to happen, which is the most ludicrous whole narrative situation you ever heard of. But Portland let them win. Portland City Hall didn't even fight them, and they had a giant settlement, and these guys got paid because of what happened in front of the federal building, because of what happened with fighting the feds during the Summer of Love. But part of their payout agreement was they're not allowed to protest anymore. They're not allowed to be at these big protests. So that's why you should get some Hugo Boss 30s original. Okay. I don't do cologne, but okay. So the fact that they got paid out, in order to get this payout, they had to agree to stop protesting. So that's why now there's a whole new group, a whole new crew, a whole new set of new recruits down there at the ice building that are all young kids, misfits. They're even worse than the original Antifa in the fact that they're not as smart, they're not as dedicated, and they're probably getting compensated somehow for doing this. But not so that, no, they didn't rebrand. It's a new class. It's a new team that isn't as hardcore as the old team. And that's evidenced by the fact that the major protest, the media ended the major protest. The media did. Because they didn't care that Trump was threatening them. They didn't care that the Patriots came down. In all reality, this is going to be a hot take that nobody's going to like. They had influence. Trump's threat of the National Guard had influence. The Patriots came down there. It played a role. It had influence. But that's not what changed the entire atmosphere of the protest. The media did. because they were fighting in court Trump's declaration to send National Guard down there. In order to fight that in court and say it's not necessary, they had to calm the protesters down. They had to make the entire nation believe that Trump was exaggerating everything. Even though the Patriots were down there and showing it in real time, live streaming and showing it in real time, at that point in time, in June, early August, we did need National Guard down there. It was out of control. It was ridiculous. And ICE agents, DHS, all of them needed help. They needed help that wasn't shackled by the rules of the city of Portland. So at that time, if Natty Guard would have got sent down there immediately, it would have been effective, it would have been reasonable, and it would have been justified. But Portland City Hall got together with the mainstream media of Portland, which is Democrat run, Democrat influenced, and said, you have to make the entire country believe that Trump's being out of pocket here. You have to make everybody think, because then all of a sudden we got blowies down there. We got music and dance parties, and we got all this crap going on. They started moving out of the way so that, they weren't threatening people coming in and out. There was still a protest down there, yes, but it wasn't anywhere near the level it was weeks before that. Because somebody in City Hall, or even people from Salem, said, we need to make Trump look stupid here. So as soon as that happened, all of a sudden, everything changed vibes so that the media was saying, oh, look, it's a costume party and a dance party, and they're feeding the homeless. So all of a sudden, Trump looked silly for saying it was a war zone and for saying that Portland was on fire, because Portland City Hall and the media got together and counteracted Trump's narrative immediately. Thank you for that. Now again, much credit to every conservative that went down there. I was down there a couple times too. I was part of when it was still active, when it was still going on. And yes, conservatives had 100% to do with them tearing down Camp Antifa. So I'm not discrediting anything that's going on down there. Yes, optics. And City Hall, in conjunction with Portland media, put that into effect. Somebody went to the heads and everybody's, oh, there's no organized Antifa. Yes, there is. Just get the hell out of here with that. I've been dealing with Rose City Antifa and the head members. The media itself said it. When Micah Rhodes got caught for kitty diddling, they were talking about, this is a leader of Rose City Antifa and the hands up, shoot, don't shoot movement. The media admits it. When they get caught with their hand in the cookie jar, and media is forced to acknowledge it, they will throw them under the bus. Because they have to keep, to have some kind of semblance of credibility. 20 live stream Thursday through Friday morning when it was lax. Yeah, when there's nothing going on. So that's why I haven't seen any of the older Antifa group. I used to watch Antifa streamers. My politics have changed. Yeah, that is exactly why. I don't know the ins and outs of it, but Mr. Bill was just talking about not seeing John Hacker. John Hacker was all over the place. I don't care if there were 3 Antifa down there. Crispy John was following him around like a hound dog. I have not seen him once during this ICE protest. Unless he was down there and I missed it, but I have not recognized him once down there. And this is the only thing going on now. I don't see anything on his Boot Troop was down there once when it was wild. Yeah, I remember Boot Troop being down there. But not for very long. Not for very long. Because I remember watching some other lefty X streams and everybody's like, where's Boot Troop? Why aren't you down there? What's going on? So, I mean, even all of these major ones. That dude from Antifa probably ran back to Israel after getting caught touching. Oh, I don't know whatever happened to Micah Rhodes. I really don't. Because he got overshadowed by Greg McGelvery and Cameron, whatever his last name was. I call him Kombucha Cameron. Cameron Whittle. Who also ended up working for Sarah Iannarone. F. Mercado. You know, Mercado did some weird stuff. I'm not really sold on him. I haven't watched him very much. He did some weird stuff when all of the major streamers were down there, and yeah, I'm not a big fan of his. I watched him once or twice, and I just wasn't sold on him. But anyways, yeah, that's why you don't see Antifa down there anymore, because they got paid. And now this Antifa that's down there is the B team, and they aren't serious. Now back in June, there were some serious ones down there. Do Phil Shieldwalt's back in 2020? I'd have to look it up. Maybe I can find it. I believe it was 17, maybe 18, 2017 or 18. We all went down there to confront Antifa and the radical lefties. So if you guys watch the ICE protest, and a lot of it is centered around that little shelter that's a trolley shelter. It's where they have the makeshift memorial, whatever that's for, the burning candles in the circle, what everybody calls the witchcraft circle. There's that little shelter. It's a trolley center, because there used to be a trolley line that ended there, and I think it stopped because of the protests. But anyways, that whole area between what used to be the preschool and the ICE building, they had a giant wall. And that whole area where that sidewalk is and that shelter is and the little trolley tracks, that whole area was a giant encampment for, I don't know, Bill, what was it, like 2 months before they finally came in and crashed it? They were hardcore. They lived there. They set up what do they call it, Chop and Chaz up in Seattle. They set one of those up next to ICE. That was what they did back then. So this ICE protest is not new. This ICE protest has been going on for a long time, off and on. It happened in the first Trump administration, and now it's happening again. They were there for a while. Yes, they were. And they were hardcore. And it was like an old school medieval fortress they had going on there. And they don't have anything like that now. Not even close. Even when there were hardcore people down there, they didn't do anything like that. The news actually covered it somewhat evenly. Yeah. So this is not new. But this is the B team. These guys are weak sauce. And I'm kind of grateful for it, in a way. I don't want to see another encampment built. I don't want to see ICE agents having to go out there and pepperball people. I don't like that kind of violence. And I do feel bad for a lot of the residents in that corner apartment building that have to deal with that. I don't want to see that happen again, so I'm kind of glad it's the B team down there. But the thing is these newer conservatives don't understand what it used to be, because they didn't live through it. They may have seen some videos of it and whatnot, but they didn't live through it, and they don't understand what Quincy and I mean when we say it's different. We're not saying that to downgrade anything they're doing or saying they're stupid or anything like that. It's not an insult to them whatsoever. It's just a statement of fact that it's a complete. If you look at my first live stream from months ago, when I went down there for my very first time, and Quincy and I stood there, and for 5 minutes we talked about, wow, this is weird. This is completely, I did not expect the atmosphere, the environment, the aura that was down there. It took me by surprise. I was like, this does not feel right. It doesn't feel normal. After doing this for 10 years, after being in front of Antifa for, God, there was points and times when we were literally fighting with Antifa in the middle of Portland streets every other week for an entire summer. And the whole atmosphere down at the modern ICE, the latest ICE protest, is completely different. Completely different. And I had to laugh the first time I heard it. It's getting way overused, this Timu everything. It's Timu Tifa. It's Timu this and Timu that. And now that they're calling us Timu Patriots and yada yada, it's getting way overused. But the Timu Tifa thing is quite accurate. It's literally like the real Antifa broke and they ordered replacements from China. They're smaller, they're weaker, they're not going to last as long. Kind of like ordering stuff off of Wish. You may get what you want, but if you're buying it off of Wish, don't expect it to last more than 3 uses. The size and the fraction of the size and numbers, yes. Yes, I mean, it used to be we would literally announce we were going to do something 3 days ahead of time and show up downtown to 150 Antifa. Because they were monitoring our communications and planning ahead, and they had a network, and they were organized, and they were supported. I'll say funded, but they were supported. They had people high up that were giving direction to what was happening. So this Antifa nowadays, it's Timu Tifa. I was down there for 3 hours, 2-3 hours the other night, all by myself. There was not a single conservative down there but me. And it's not because I'm badass, because they don't know who I am. And that's another thing. If it was old Antifa, they would recognize me. They would know who I am from the old days. Because, not that I was important, but I was known. They doxed me a few times. They knew who I was. They monitored my web pages and my Facebook and all of that. They know who I am, the old school ones. But nobody down there knows who I am now, because there are no old school people down there. They are still dangerous, but in a subversive way. I'm going to agree with that. There's a certain danger. I'm nowhere near as cautious around them as I am with old Antifa, but you still got to keep your head on a swivel, because bad things can happen, and the thing is, it could happen in an instant. You don't know when it's going to happen. With crowds like this, with the old crowds, you walked in ready, and you had each other's six, and you just knew that something was going to pop off somewhere. Now, with this crowd, you kind of ease off a little bit. You kind of get in a little relaxed posture. And unfortunately, they know that. And that's when things could happen. So I don't advise anybody to be completely lax. It's not smart, because they are evil. They are demonic. And they are, or very well can be, violent. So I don't advise anybody to go down there just completely chill. I wasn't when I was there the other night, and there wasn't hardly anybody down there. And I still was watching over my back quite a bit and making sure that I was in a defensive position, making sure that nobody could sneak up on behind me or anything like that, because there's no way. Anybody that has that philosophy, you can't trust. Not 100%. Sometimes not even 50%. So yes, they are still dangerous, but in a subversive way. I agree with that 100%. And these guys that are incredibly soy will try to attack people online. Just like I had people from Pretend Media's chat fan base in my chat when I was live streaming from Salem that had absolutely nothing to do with them. I was at an event that had nothing to do with the lefties whatsoever. It wasn't even in Portland, but yet the Portland protesting supporters, whatever, however you'd say, the lefties that support Portland were messing with my chat when I had nothing to do with Pretend Media. I had nothing to do with Portland, because they're still evil. And then they were, I don't know anything about it. But yet I went into his chat yesterday And there were 3 or 4 people that were trolling my chat that I recognized just hanging out in his chat and all celebrating the fact that Tommy got assaulted. That's how evil they are. They were literally celebrating that Tommy got jumped. But they're so delusional. If anybody watched that, Tommy won that fight. Nico won his part of that fight. You can't deny that, hands down. Video evidence shows that the lefties effed around and found out. And Tommy gave them the find out. Political power become a just. Yep, I agree with that, Shane. I agree with that. That's what I'm saying. Portland's been dealing with it for a long time. And I could run it down, but that's a whole nother video. I ran it down a little bit. Tommy got what they were looking for. Yeah, well, Tommy gave them what they were looking for. Especially that black dude. Tommy gave what they, yes, exactly. He kept asking for it and he got it. And everybody's like, Tommy threw the first punch. I don't care if in that clip he threw the first punch or not. I was watching live and I watched that black guy follow Tommy all the way from Waterfront Park. Ever since that guy was messing with Tommy, ever since the sucker puncher got arrested, whatever kid came and punched Tommy in the back of the head was getting arrested. That black guy started messing with Tommy way back then. And Tommy tried to leave, get out of the situation, walk away from it. Dude kept following him, bumping into him, blowing smoke in his face, antagonizing, pushing, touching. Tommy still, at the very end, at the beginning of the clip, if you look, Tommy is walking backwards, you guys. To anybody who doubts, stop and think about that for a minute. Tommy was walking backwards. That is called retreat. Tommy was retreating. And dude kept coming at him with the threatening manner, in a threatening manner, with his friends coming around and surrounding him. The tall dude that Nico put in a headlock was walking around and looked like he had something in his hand. But he was trying to jump Tommy. He wasn't trying to let the black dude and Tommy fight one-on-one, which probably should have happened, in my opinion. The two of them should have went in the middle of the freaking intersection and duked it out old school. Done and over. That should have been what happened there. And you know what? The cops wanted that to happen. Because the last time the dude blew smoke in Tommy's face, Tommy turned around and clocked him. And he told him about 5 times, stop doing that or I'm going to clock you. Stop doing that or I'm going to clock you. He told his chat, I'm going to clock this dude if he doesn't stop. And he wouldn't stop. So Tommy turned around about a block before the major fight happened. Tommy hit him. Because as far as I'm concerned, I was looking for trouble. Exactly. Nico has a black eye. Sometimes that happens when you're in a fight. It sucks, but yeah, I can see it. You can get a black eye from a fight, whether you win or lose. Not the first time I've heard that. And I've heard that he was part of the group that assaulted Chelly as well. So he got his comeuppance as far as I'm concerned. He's lucky I wasn't there. The cops set it up. So let me tell you, and I alluded to this on Bill's stream, Mr. Bill's stream. So I was watching live and I was watching multiple streams. There was a PPB cruiser that drove by them about the same time that Tommy clocked him for blowing smoke in his face. Before the main clips that you're seeing now. This is about a block before that. They looked at him, literally blipped their lights, and then drove off. They wanted Tommy to mess him up. They wanted Tommy to pound him into the ground. And being familiar with PPB as I am, dealing with them for 10 years now during activist things and having some conversations with one that we know personally, I haven't talked to him in years and years, but Paul, if you're still on here, you know who I'm talking about. I know that there are PPB that quietly, low-key support Tommy and hate Antifa and hate having to deal with Antifa. The only thing Antifa does that they agree with is let them get more overtime. How much money is Portland spending on overtime for cops because of Antifa? Mega broke on him from Yeah, you guys, but Tommy got jumped. But yes, so all of that, this all started, this whole incident started way before the clips you guys are seeing online. If you didn't watch the whole thing live last night, it all started way before what you're seeing online. And dude kept pushing and pushing and pushing, and sometimes literally kept bumping Tommy with his shoulder and this and that. So the very end, Tommy was retreating. He was walking backwards. Dude kept coming out in a threatening manner with his friends surrounding him. Tommy said, I have no choice. I have to fight out of this. What are you going to do? Proud of your boy. I applaud every bit of what Tommy did last night. Got no issues with it whatsoever. I think he should have done more. If you watch, after he gets the guy on the ground, and then he gets on top and kind of starts ground and pounding him a little bit, realizes the dude's not fighting back, Tommy turns around and walks to the curb. Still in a fighting stance, in case the guy gets up swinging. Smart. Like I said, I know how to fight. I don't see anything that Tommy did wrong last night. But he did let up. He had the guy down, and he was coming ground and pounding from behind on him. Could have put that dude into a coma. I've seen it happen in that position. He could have put that guy in a coma. But he didn't. He stood up, turned around, and walked over to the curb. Guy even came at him to pick something up off the ground, and Tommy stood back and let him do it. So you fools are going to tell me that Tommy was in the wrong? Hang on, I got to open the door. Hi, baby.
Let me grab my purse.
Okay, I'm doing a live stream, just so you know.
Oh, that's good.
But anybody that's going to tell me Tommy was in the wrong last night, I will fight you for it. Tommy did everything right to the very end. The only thing that I don't think Tommy did right was walk out of there with the small group that he did, knowing what happened beforehand, knowing how bad that crowd was against him, which, duh, you knew that was going to happen, but knowing that he was a target. But as far as I know, he had 5 or 6 people with him. So he wasn't alone as it appears on the videos. But still, situation like that, when we used to go down there all the time, I guarantee you, Joey Gibson never walked away from an event with less than 24 people around him. Because he was a target. Because we knew every Antifa would want to take a shot at him. That's what Tommy faced last night. Tommy should have had more security or taken a little more time to plan what he was doing and not get himself in a situation where they were outnumbered. That would be the only criticism. I'm not even saying he did anything wrong, because obviously if he had a small group of people, he thought he was safe, he thought he was covered. Okay, that's not wrong. But the criticism is he maybe should have done a little bit more, and maybe next time he'll think about that and have a couple more people with him. Well, he even said, the dude that normally has his back 100%, the dude that makes him feel the safest had to leave early. He had to walk away without his major 6. So that was a bad thing. And I'm sure Antifa knew that. But yes, Tommy needs to think before he speaks. Now, he needs to think before he acts in this kind of case. But it could have just been, it could have been just the conflagration of circumstances. Sometimes shit just happens. And so I'm not saying he did anything wrong. I'm just giving a little constructive criticism. Because if he thought he was safe, which he didn't completely, because his main safety had to leave early. But what are you going to do then? You can't just stand there and say, well, my dude left, so now I can't leave. You can't do that. And he even said that. Tommy had a X Space last night and described all of it and had conversations with all of us about what happened. And his thing was, I'm not going to let them think that I'm intimidated because one dude isn't standing with me. And 100%, amen. Spot on. That's the best answer he could have gave to that. You can't let them think they won because some circumstance changes. You got to know that you're going to do what you got to do, and they're not going to stop it. If you're going to leave, it doesn't matter if you're by yourself or got 30 people. If you want to leave, you're going to leave, and they're not going to do a damn thing about it. That's the attitude you got to have. And that's what he did. So again, I'm not saying he was wrong. I just wish it would have been a little bit different. But sometimes it can't be. Sometimes it can't be. And you know what? It wasn't, and he handled it, and Nico handled it. Proud of your boy to both of them. They handled their business, they stood on their business, and they took care of business. And somebody on Pretend Media's chat last night said to me, "Oh, it could have been worse. It could have been worse." And I'm like, yeah, it could have been worse. Your guy could have got put in the hospital. Because it wasn't going to be any worse for Tommy and Nico. Because they handle business. Who it could have been worse for is that little snowflake that wanted it and got it. Start watching when the person first tried to steal Tommy's phone. I worry about that. Yeah, I still haven't seen video of that. If anybody knows where that video is about in the Shake Shack or wherever they were, I still want to see that. He also has, well, make him stop doing that. That's my grandson trying to get my attention. The light switch is outside the room. So because I locked him out, he's going to play with the light now. That's him getting my attention. Tommy showed great control. Yes. Sorry, what? Yeah, but if anybody can tell me where to find that video of the chick in the Shake Shack or whatever restaurant they were in, I'd like to see that. I still have not seen that. Attention to the grandkids, not Tommy. Trust me, he gets plenty of attention. He gets plenty of attention, and as soon as this live stream's over, he's going to get plenty more. That kid is the center of this household. He is not lacking for anything. And there's 4 adults in this house. He's still getting attention, even though I'm on my phone. Anyways, but yeah. Antifa hasn't gotten handed in a while. So I these people don't know the violence we grew up in, just saying. No, they don't. They don't. And the thing is I give much props to Tommy for getting up and walking to the curb like he did and letting that dude, I mean, even though he was reaching down to get something in front of Tommy, it didn't look like that at first. It looked like he got up after getting pounded and was going to come and try and get back-ins. And Tommy waited and looked. I mean, extreme restraint, I would have never got off him. I would have had to have 4 people drag me off him out of the middle of the street. When Tommy was on top of him and had his back, he would have either been beaten into an ambulance or choked to sleep. One or the other. And speaking of that, the Nico thing. Well, if you don't like it, that's okay. You're entitled to your opinion with Tommy. Tommy says a lot of things that we don't always agree with, but he's Tommy, and that's what he's doing. I've already discussed this in another video. Nico, as part of the video, he was holding the door. All right, I'm going to have to check that out. But Nico had the other dude in a chokehold, in a reverse chokehold. And that was the dude that kept wanting to jump Tommy. He wanted to make it not a one-on-one. The tall dude with, I think he had a jean jacket on or something. He had some light he was wearing. But it looked like he had something in his hand. There's been some debate about that, whether he had something in his hand or not. You want to keep going? And he said, no, listen. No, he said, there's going to be round 2. And Tommy said, you want to do it now? He goes, no, I don't want to do it right now. And walked away. That was comic. That was hilarious. It was hilarious. He's like, you're going to get round 2, but not right now. And then he walked away. That made me laugh out loud. I spit out my coffee on that one. But Nico had that other dude in the headlock, and Tommy went over, and I think if I remember right, he kind of touched him in the shoulder. He said, that's enough, bro. He immediately let go and walked away. That's how it's supposed to be done, brothers. God willing, if I was ever in that situation again, I would have the self-restraint and the control that they had last night. Proud of your boy again. Awesome. You guys did awesome. I wish they were in here right now, but, and I told Tommy that last night too. I told Tommy he had a good day yesterday. He had a good speech. He had some epic trolling at the waterfront. And then when shit hit the fan last night, he handled that like a man too. Tommy had a good day yesterday. I can't think of anything I'm not proud of Tommy for yesterday. Tommy had a good day. It sucks he broke his glasses, but you know what? I've been watching live streams in the X Space and everything last night. I guarantee you by this time next week, Tommy's going to have like 4 pair of glasses. And if anybody's talking to him, I'm going to mention this. My wife said something last night, and I'm not sure if anybody really thought of this. I'm sure somebody has. Somebody needs to buy him some prescription tactical glasses. That way, when he goes downtown, it doesn't matter. You all make me feel not so lonely. This is better than TV. It is better than TV because it's real life, and some of us know personally the characters involved in it, so it makes it way better than TV. I said this in another live stream, I'm addicted to watching the protest at ICE. And probably because I've been down there and I've met all the characters, and some of them I've known for longer than this protest, but the ones I haven't, I've been down there and met them face to face and hung out with them and talked to them and, you know, seen how they react in real life. Because a lot of times what you see, ask somebody to be quiet next to the store at my house, they jumped in and get a new pair of glasses, jumped me on my porch. What? I was like, ask somebody to be quiet. Oh, yeah. Probably a drunk or something. That sucks. That sucks that happened to you. But I saw a lot of people say they were going to step up and pay for some new glasses for Tommy. So I'm pretty sure Tommy's going to get some good spectacles before too long here. And I'll tell you one thing I need to tell him. He needs to stop buying such expensive phones. Because if he keeps getting, you know, he's like, oh, somebody just knocked out my $1,500. Stop buying $1,500 iPhones. I have a phone that I paid $20 for at garage sale or something, and that's what I use because I don't want it to if it gets broke, lost, rained on, if I forget it somewhere, I don't care. Watching this shit since last year, same time. But yeah, proud of Tommy. Hope you guys are too. He did good. And the thing is, you know, everybody, it's easy to play armchair quarterback. I do it myself. I've gotten, since everything's been so slow, other than the ICE protests, and because of our major patriot group that we had for years that isn't really meeting and doing anything anymore and stuff like that. You've seen a couple of them down at ICE, but for the most part, everybody kind of went their separate ways in 2020 after the Biden election. Anyways, after Biden became our president, everybody kind of in the J6 thing, everybody kind of chilled out for a while. So I've taken into, when I'm bored, I'll watch old videos of our rallies and our events and stuff like that. And I'll sit here and criticize myself. I'll sit here and say, why did I do that? Or why didn't I do something else? Why was I at that place at that time? Why was I doing that? And I wouldn't do that now, because you learn. And the only way you learn is by actually doing it and actually being there. I don't want anybody to think I think I'm a know-it-all. I'm not conceited. I don't think I'm the end-all be-all and all-knowing about protesting. I just know from experience. It's I always think of the word, what do they call it? Algorithm. I can't think of the word, but it's when you tell stories about personal experience. Back Rebel's going to report the Salem Capitol protest we had. Yeah, she didn't do much live streaming. Experience in life help us be better if we are teachable. I try to be teachable, but like I said, I'm not the end-all be-all. I've just been there a lot. When some of us went in when we shouldn't have, yeah. A little history. I think it was first introduced to you on another channel, DOA. I think you were driving through the area and he interviewed you and your wife. It's possible. Tommy, but I think I like Tommy already. Paul, you would like Tommy. I'll have to send you some links to the videos in what he's X. Remind me after the live stream. Anecdotal. Thank you for remind me that. Paul, I will send you some Tommy links, some Tommy links after that. In the meantime, check out my Facebook page because I have a clip of Tommy's fight last night on my Facebook page. I posted it last night. So check out my Facebook page and you'll get a little thing about what I'm talking about right now. I'm sure you have no idea what I'm talking about when I talk about what happened last night. But like I said, check out my Facebook page. I got a clip of it on there. A little history on me. In 2015, when Trump started running, and I wasn't on the Trump train yet, but the fact that the entire country, the left side of the country, turned against him instantly. Because in 2014, Trump was the man. Everybody wanted to be Trump. The Clintons were even friends with Trump in 2014. The minute he came down that golden escalator, he became public enemy number one. That told me that there must be something right with him. I'm not a huge fan of Donald Trump personality-wise. Didn't like his shows. Just wasn't a piece of cake. You got to admire the man for what he's done in business. But personality-wise, just not my favorite. Okay, whatever. I wasn't voting for his personality. I was voting for what kind of president he would be. And the fact that they were so threatened by him made me want to support him. So I found out what a 3%er was. I'm not sure why. I think I saw a flag wave somewhere on Facebook or something. And I saw what a 3%er was and asked some questions and got in a group, and they were having a flag wave in downtown Salem, in front of the Capitol. And this is just at very first when Trump was running. So it was a flag wave just to be a flag wave. It wasn't a Trump flag wave. It was just a flag wave. And we got harassed by Antifa types, by retarded liberals. We got harassed for standing in front of the Capitol. And this is before the Trump craze. So they weren't calling us Trumpers or anything. They were just literally calling us Nazis because we were waving the American flag in front of the state capitol. I was like, okay, this is ridiculous. And this is way more. I've always had political arguments and debates and stuff like that and this and that, but never to the extreme. It was more just me and my friends debating when we were drunk or whatever. And, you know, it was a fun thing. We were into politics, but mostly as fun. And then that flag wave didn't, it didn't sit right. I was like, why are these people acting like this? Because we want to wave our American flag proudly. So I started looking into it, and then I got involved in the 3%. And then the Trump craze got bigger and bigger as the campaign went on. And went to a couple Second Amendment rallies and this and that. Because I'm pro Second Amendment, even though I'm not permitted to carry. I'm working on it, but I'm not permitted to carry. But I believe in the Second Amendment very, very strongly. And Willie Axel, oh, good call, Paul. Yeah, you would know this, wouldn't you? The best prescription glasses are definitely tactically qualified. Paul, send me that in a text later to Arms Arbiter. Send me that in a text later, and I'll pass it on to him. Because once I shut this live off, I lose the comments. So remind me of that later if you would. Send me a message on Facebook or something. Let me know, or maybe even a link that I can send Tommy and let him know. So anyway, so as time went on, I got more and more involved, and then came the election, and I happened to be doing a window. I was replacing some windows in a house over on Clinton Street, I think it was. Maybe a mile out of downtown Portland on the Near East Side. And I've been listening to the election stuff on the radio while I was working. And a buddy of mine that's a homeless advocate sent me a message. He's like, "Are you coming downtown?" I was like, what's going on downtown? And he goes, well, he says, there's a whole bunch of people gathering down here, but I'm down here with my sign promoting, he promoted charity towards homeless people and homeless awareness and stuff like that. And he says, I'm down here with my signs for my homeless stuff. You want to come hang out with me? Are you anywhere near? And I said, well, as luck would have it, I'm only a mile away. I said, let me finish up this job and I'll be down there in an hour or two. So little did I know, I was walking into the post-election riots. Had no idea. As I said, I was working. I had no idea, and I had no connections to the Antifa communications network at that time. So he says, meet me at Pioneer Place, Pioneer Square, whatever it's called. Meet me at the Bricks. And so I went down there, and I'm like, oh my God, there's a lot of protesters down here, and they've all got anti-Trump signs. Oh, he wasn't really elected. He wasn't this. He wasn't that. I'm like, well, this is interesting. But, I'm in my work clothes. I'm not wearing any pro-Trump gear or any Patriot gear or anything like that because it was kind of before the movement. I'm just wearing regular work clothes. I'm like, well, nobody's going to hate me. I'm just going to keep my mouth shut because I'm in the middle of thousands of people. And obviously I have a counter opinion than theirs. So I'm going to be quiet. I'm going to be really quiet because it's just me and my one buddy. So I'm going to be really quiet, but I started live streaming it on Facebook. And as some of you know, it turned into a hell of a night. That's when the riots happened. And I got out just as they were starting. I parked in the wrong parking garage and got stuck there longer. My phone battery went dead. So I'm like, and I had my dogs in the car in a parking garage. So I didn't want to be out too late. I didn't want to keep them in the car very long. And, but I parked by the Max line across from Pioneer Place, Pioneer Square, whatever it is. And the cops blocked all that off. So I was screwed. I couldn't get back to my car. That's when I ended up waiting and meeting some street preachers and then really seeing the meat and potatoes of who Antifa was. And I'm watching the riot develop in front of me. And I'm watching them assault people. And I'm stopping them from assaulting street preachers, even though I didn't even know them then. But I'm like, what are you doing? You're assaulting these people because they have a message different than yours. When you're out here doing worse stuff than they are, that's ridiculous. So I help protect them a little bit. But still, I still didn't really know, but I'm watching this develop in front of me. I realized that was you who came and showed my sign to your stream on Saturday. Well, this XL Media, it was. Did you ever go watch Read the Not Yours to Give Davy Kravitz? I have not yet. And thank you for reminding me because I really do want to see that. It was great to meet you guys too. Apparently, Mr. Bill was restreaming Mr. Axtel and my videos the whole time we were down there. So that's pretty cool. I'm glad that it was you guys that I met. So anyways, I watched this progress in front of me and really figured out who Antifa was. And I was like, man, I don't think this is okay. I don't like this. I don't know what I can do about it, but I don't like this. And it kind of got filed until March, which is 3 months later. Watching Facebook posts and stuff like that and meeting people, I got called to the March for Trump in Lake Oswego and put a something in the comment. I was there in the comment. If you're in Oregon and you've been around long enough to be at the March for Trump in 2017. I was there. A lot of the people that I ended up being friends with and calling brother and sister and marching with and doing all of this conservative stuff with down the roads, they were there. None of us knew each other. And funny thing is, if you pay attention to videos from live streamers and other other conservative people on the night of the election riots, a lot of them were down there too. 15%. Okay, that means I'm probably going to have to wrap this up fairly soon. Oh my goodness, Over 2 hours already. I can't believe you guys are still hanging out with me. Thank you so very much. Um, a lot of people walked the same path that I did and ended up at the March for Trump. And the Antifa shenanigans that we put up with there was just absolutely ridiculous. Um, Somebody was talking about a citizen's arrest last night. The last time I saw a citizen's arrest was when I did one at the March for Trump. Um, I had to yank a guy off of somebody's car and I grabbed him by the collar. And there's actually video of it. I'm not bullshitting. There's actually video. And I took him by the collar. He had a puffy coat on. And I dragged him by his coat and took him in front of the cops. And I said, this guy needs arrested. So I'm not sure if technically that's a citizen's arrest or not. But do you use conditioner on your beard or do you wash it? I'm a simpleton. I'm not vain. I use shampoo if I can get my hands on 2-in-1 shampoo. But that's it. I wash this when I wash my hair, and then I brush it out every once in a while. I'm kind of lazy. I don't care. That's why it's straggly. I'm not vain about it all. I'm sure I could do more and make it better. I really just don't care. I just kind of like that it's there. But the March for Trump was when everybody got a really good view of who Antifa was, and that started everything. And then shortly after that, there was a 2A gun rally in Salem. And I trim it once in a while. My wife trims it for me. I need a haircut too. If you see my hair's absolutely miserable right now, I need a haircut and a trim. I'll do it. It's wintertime. I let everything kind of grow out in the wintertime. It helps keep me warm. After the March for Trump, there was a 2A rally in Salem. And Joey Gibson showed up and came up to me randomly out of the blue. I didn't know who he was. He didn't know much about me. He just walked up and he said, I've seen you a couple of places. He says, so I know that you do this. He says, what do you think about this? I want your opinion. It lays out his plans for Patriot Prayer. I was like, dude, sounds great. I said, just be careful. Antifa's going to fuck with you. Other than that, sounds like a really good idea. And I was like, let me know how it goes, because he was in Vancouver and I wasn't. So I'm 55 also. So I said, just keep in touch. And then some of you, I don't know how many of you guys are local. If you guys are local to the Portland area and you know about this stuff I'm talking about, tell me in the chat, please. Give me a comment telling me that somebody out there knows what I'm talking about. And I'm not just rambling to a bunch of people that are kind of confused about what I'm saying. If there's somebody in here that's been there, done that, even if it's just you, Mr. Bill, if somebody put in my comments that you know what I'm talking about, so everybody else doesn't think I'm just making shit up. But were you blonde or red? Strawberry blonde. I was strawberry blonde. If you notice, some of my beard is still kind of red. My wife's laughing because I went really gray for a while, and all of a sudden I'm getting red coming back. Hey, there's an Oregonian. What was I saying? Oh, if any of you guys are Oregonians, you'll remember back in 2017, there was a store, a little liquidation store on the east side of Portland on Division, and some lunatic lefty went in there and made a big stink and a live video because she tried to tell them about the Confederate flag that was for sale up on their wall. And they pretty much told her to F off, and then she made a big stink, so they followed her out to the parking lot. Shortly after that, Antifa organized something at their store, and they were literally online threatening to burn their store down and stuff. And again, happenstance, which is really funny, but I was doing a job about 3 or 4 blocks away from their store. Just happened to be tearing down and rebuilding a deck on somebody's house, 4 blocks from this store, when the news came to me about the Antifa action. So I called up Joey and I'm like, I've been paying attention to what you're doing. You got to reach. Can you help me out here? We need to counter them. And a couple hours later, there was like 40 of us down there, 40 Patriot people. The beginnings of Patriot Prayer. It was the first time Patriot Prayer organized anything in Portland. And like I said, I was thankful for Joey. I was working, I couldn't do much. So I gave him a really quick text, a really quick message. I think I may have called him on the phone real quick and said, "Hey, can you get some manpower down here for me, please? I'm gonna go there whether you guys are there or not. It'd be nice to have some help." And through his connections that he already had and the reach that he already had, there was about 40 of us down there. And that was the first time that we had done a counteraction in Portland. And cops were there almost immediately. Ted Wheeler knew it, and Ted Wheeler didn't like it. Ted Wheeler did not want Patriot Prayer to take a foothold in Portland because he knew what it would lead to. He knew there were pissed off people out there. He knew that not everybody agreed with Portland City Hall politics or Antifa. He knew that there were conservative people out there that were scared to talk, but if we came down there and did our thing, people were going to be less scared to talk. That people were going to stand with us. He knew it was going to happen, so he tried to cut it off at the pass before it even happened. And that was the start of Patriot Prayer. And then shortly after that, Antifa caused such a ruckus that they canceled the 82nd Avenue Parade for the Rose Festival. And so we got together and organized our own. And went to Monticello Park and had our own celebration. And then we marched all the way down 82nd, did our own. Because Antifa threatened Multnomah County Republicans so bad because they were going to have a float in the parade that the organization literally shut down a 100-year tradition in Portland over Antifa's crying and whining. If anybody ever watches that, the 82nd Avenue Parade, the Monticello Park, that's when Jeremy Christian came into the picture. He wasn't with us. I will say this emphatically, and I've said this many, many times, because me and a guy named Big Country were charged with, because we ended up going inside this tennis court enclosure that had like 3.5 foot, 4 foot walls around it. And that's where we were organizing to keep ourselves cordoned off, make the cops happy. And they were like, you cannot tell people they can't come in here unless you have posted security. So me and Big Country, the reason I did it is because I had my rots with me, I had my dogs, and I didn't want to be pinned in this thing with the dogs. So I said, I volunteered. I said, I'll stand at the gateway. Big Country, this big guy from Kentucky, he stood there with me, and we made sure that unwanted people weren't in our little cordoned off area. And one of them was Jeremy Christian. I don't want to get into this whole thing, but I'm just going to say it was staged. Jeremy Christian was a plant, and he was planted there by Portland City Hall. And I have a mountain of evidence to prove it. And one of these days, I'll make a video on it to run the whole thing down. But it's true. Portland City Hall planted Jeremy Christian there because after Jeremy Christian started harassing us and Antifa at the same time, I went to one of the brass that was down there, one of the PPB high-up officers, and I said, look, man, we're tired of dealing with this guy. Antifa's tired of dealing with this guy. I know you guys are tired of dealing with this guy. He's starting a riot with everybody. Why don't you guys get rid of him? He looked at me. He said, we're not allowed to today. And this is 20 minutes after Ted Wheeler walked through the park and whispered in somebody's ear. I have evidence of it. So anyways, this was the start of not only Patriot Prayer versus Antifa, not only Proud Boys versus Antifa, but versus Portland City Hall as well. Because Portland City Hall let them be violent towards us. To the point where we were getting persecuted, we were getting arrested, we were getting charges when Antifa attacked us. Because they had the backing of Portland City Hall. And for those of you who don't know, for those of you who aren't from the Portland area, Portland is one of the rare cities that our mayor, Ted Wheeler at the time, is also our police commissioner. The police commissioner. I don't live in Portland anymore, but the mayor is the police commissioner. Do the math. If the mayor likes Antifa, and the police are the ones that are supposed to be out there handling Antifa, is that going to happen? Because the Antifa-loving mayor is the commissioner of police. Probably why we've been through how many captains, police captains, in the last 20 years in Portland? They change them like I change socks. Not a good combo. No, it's not. It's corruption. The entire Portland City Hall, it stinks with corruption. You can smell it from Terry Shrunk Plaza, which, by the way, is where we used to have all our rallies. Here's another little known fact. People won't understand this unless you've been there, done that. There are 3 parks, all nose to toes, all next to each other, 3 blocks of parks in the center of Portland. There's Terry Shrunk Plaza, there's Lonsdale Park, and there's Chapman Park. And they're surrounded by Portland City Hall, the Justice Center, the courthouse, the federal buildings are all around this 3-block park area. Lonsdale and Chapman are Portland parks. Terry Shrunk Plaza is a federal park. So somebody finally had the bright idea. I don't know whose it was. Maybe it was Joey's. Maybe it was somebody else. Because we were getting crapped on by Antifa and the cops weren't doing anything about it. So what we did is they pulled, I didn't have anything to do with the paperwork, so I got to stop saying we. They pulled the permits at the federal park. Because first of all, Portland City Hall was denying Patriot Prayer permits. They didn't want Patriot Prayer in Portland. So they went above their heads and went federal. Well, what that did was put us in a federal park in the middle of Portland. What that did was got us DHS protection. DHS uniformed officers would surround Terry Shrunk Plaza. So when you see DHS, that's why. It's not that the feds cared about our rallies, it's that Patriot Prayer was smart enough to put their rallies on federal property, so when we were getting assaulted on federal property, DHS had to respond, because Portland police would not. Because they were told to stand down for any patriots, but to support Antifa. The elk statue is in the middle. If you look at any videos of the elk statue, you'll see parks on both sides of it. Those are, is that the block over? I believe it's Lonsdale and Chapman Parks are on both sides of the elk statue. And then if you go south one more block, that's the federal Terry Shrunk Plaza. So the elk statue is in the middle of all that. And you'll see, because Chapman and Lonsdale belong to Portland City, that's where Antifa stages all the time. The Summer of Love in front of the federal building, those parks that they're in across the street from the federal building are Chapman and Lonsdale Park. That's where Antifa pulls all their action from. When they did the Occupy protest, it was in Chapman and Lonsdale Parks. Everything Antifa does, they own those parks. It's their territory. For you guys saw the Warriors movie? Yeah, well, that's their gang. That's their gang, the Antifa gang, and that's their little turf, is Chapman and Lonsdale Park. It has been for 20 years. The Roosevelt elk was a gift to the city by a former mayor, to your actual phone SMS. Thanks, bro. I appreciate that. I knew it was a gift. I don't know. I knew something similar to that. I didn't know the specifics. Thank you for putting that on there. But yeah, it was a gift, and it's been there forever, and nobody's messed with it until the Summer of Love. And Patriots tried to stop it. I have video of Patriots sitting there guarding the statue, trying to let them not do that to it. And they warned the city. They showed the city the message boards and whatever where Antifa was saying they were going to do it. And Portland's like, oh, whatever. You guys are crazy. You're conspiracy theorists. And then guess what? The statue disappeared. God, I was watching way back then. Just wish things were better. Yeah. Kathy Richardson, I know you said in my other live stream that you're from Ohio, but were you in Washington or something? That name is really familiar. Like I know you in real life somehow or something. It may just be similar to somebody's name. But anyways, but yeah, that was, Antifa took that statue. Patriots tried to protect it. Portland told us it wasn't our job and we were full of crap. That's Portland, man. Portland is ridiculous. Portland is corrupt. Portland is nasty. Now it's nasty realistically, like physically, and it just, oh, it's ugly and dirty and nasty. For years when I first moved here, I used to love to take a Saturday or a Sunday and get on my bicycle and take a bus downtown and just ride around downtown and look at stuff and just hang out in downtown. Downtown Portland was beautiful. I'm from Cleveland, man. I'm from Cleveland. Portland was amazingly beautiful to me. I loved it. And I love seeing the older buildings. I love going down to the waterfront. People were friendly. People would wave. Portland was a kick-ass place to hang out, downtown Portland. And I love seeing the new buildings go up. I was excited when they started transforming the Pearl District because I thought it wasn't going to turn into what it is now. I thought they would refab Old Town and get rid of all the element that's down there. But they didn't. Now it's worse. Now Old Town is worse than it was 20 years ago. They put all those buildings, I'll spend all that money developing it and all that. Go hang out at Union Station. When I was going back and forth between North Dakota for about 6 months, I took the train quite a few times and had to wait at Union Station because you have to transfer. You go from Salem to Portland, and then you got to wait for the train to leave Portland. So I'm not going to, and I smoke. So there's a little round park in the middle, right in front of Union Station. I was scared to hang out there. Like I would be smoking a cigarette and I'd start seeing 3 or 4 people start accumulating in the park. I would put my cigarette out early and go hide in the building because I thought I was going to get mugged. When I'm scared to stand somewhere, that somewhere is bad. That somewhere is not okay when I'm scared. I'm not scared of very much. You can ask my brother, you can ask my wife, you can ask my mom. I go places I probably should not go. Because I'm too stupid to be scared sometimes, right? When I'm telling you I don't want to go somewhere because I'm too scared of what might happen, that's a bad place, man. It was sure a place I'd hope to visit someday. Yeah, not now. Not now. It's so bad. I gotta check my battery. I'm at 11%, so I'm going to give it another probably 10, 15 minutes here, and then I'm going to have to get off. And my wife is looking at me like we got other things to do anyways. Who will be the 300 subscriber? Are you serious? Am I at 299? Awesome. I would like to have 300 subscribers. That'd be cool. That's a cool goal for tonight. Yeah, don't hit the... Yeah, just keep an eye on him. Let him look out the window. He's okay. Just stand there. He's not going to jump. Well, it's soft and wet down there if he does. He's not going to jump. He's not that stupid. Don't. Thank you, buddy. You want to come sit on Papa's lap?
Oh, he's like...
Come here. I gotcha. So this guy right here has never seen downtown Portland.
And he never will.
And as long as it's like it is right now, he won't. Because it's not safe for him. What did I, and not to sound ridiculous, but I think one time I let you come downtown with me.
I've been downtown
Hey.
more than one time.
Not downtown.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you just ruined what I was going to say. Hello from Newburgh. B Caveman. Hey, you're almost a neighbor. We're in Newburgh all the time. Hi, buddy. We're right down Highway 18 from it. Beautiful curly strawberry blonde hair. Yeah. It is. He's a boy and he needs a haircut really bad, but his hair's so cool we have a hard time wanting to cut it. But Portland is a shithole. Thank you. I'm gonna put it right here. Thank you, buddy. Portland is a shithole, and it's a shithole because it's run by shitheads. I don't need all this, buddy, but thank you. Are you good? No. Don't play with that, buddy, please. Pick up that trash and throw it in the garbage. Oh, you clean the floor with it? Okay, that's cool. I like that.
Don't touch Papa's stuff, baby.
He's adorable. He is. He is, and he's smart. He's too smart for our good. I'll tell you that right
Yeah,
now.
way
Oh,
smarter.
look at
than-
him. Now he's using my tripod as a playground. Look at him. He's so proud of himself.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. He's all talking. Okay, anyways. But yeah, Portland is a shithole because Portland's run by shitheads.
Nope. That doesn't open up, baby.
But Portlanders keep voting for it. Or, I'd like to give Portland a little bit of credit and say that I don't know that all the elections are legit, so maybe they're not voting for it.
Don't touch.
Don't touch it, buddy. Okay, please. Thank you. High five. No, look at the TV.
Look, Bean.
Yeah, that's on the TV.
Pick him up so he can see himself.
Yeah, I did. Oh, I see. Here, you want to see yourself on the TV?
Look, boo
Grandma,
boo.
show him on the TV. Show him
Look
that
at-
he's up there. Watch up there.
Hold on.
Watch up there.
Watch. Here comes the bean.
It's a delay. It's such a delay. Watch,
Look at
wait,
James.
Look up there. There you are. That's you. He's got other
He's like,
things on his
I don't
mind.
care.
I don't care. At least he's not vain or nothing. He's like, I don't want to say. Oh, okay. Now I got a bowl.
And a pillow.
and a pillow.
And the
dog's
dog's
pillow.
Come
Okay,
with
buddy.
Grandma.
Let me finish this up so I can come play with
Come
you.
with
Okay.
Grandma. Come on.
Papa will let you come play in here. No, don't tap on it, buddy.
Come with Grandma.
Let Papa have a few more minutes, and then I'll let you come play with Papa and
Okay.
do cool stuff.
Give
Okay?
kisses. Give
Give
kisses.
a kiss. Hey, can I have a kiss? Can I have a kiss? No. Okay.
Fist
no
bump.
kiss. Fist bump.
Say bye-bye.
You don't want to do anything cool on camera, do you? Okay, I gotta finish this. I don't think voting or elections are done legally. I don't either, not here in Portland, because there's no way. I've been watching and paying attention since the Vera Katz days. And that's actually my very beginning. Was if any of you have been around that long and remember when Vera Katz was mayor, and I think it was the Iran war or something. I think it was Desert, what was Shock and Awe. I think it was Shock and Awe that triggered the Portlanders, and they took over Second and Burnside and were burning flags and stuff like that. If any of you were around for that, 2001 maybe, something of that sort, and I was actually on the news. Because I went down there and yanked a couple flags that were being burnt away from the protesters. And that was way back in like 2001 or something of that sort. That's when I started doing this Patriot stuff. Is way back then, and starting to hate what was going on in Portland and watching Portland just decline further and further and further. Like I said, for the first few years, it was awesome. I lived in Beaverton. I lived on the east side of Portland for a minute. I lived in Gresham or Centennial District, Centennial area. Placer County, California. To be counted yet? Yeah. Oh, I believe it. I believe it. There's so much corruption, so much garbage. And I had enough of it. So I literally drove I was living in Kaiser by Salem at the time, and drove an hour to get to the protest on Second and Burnside. Hauled ass in my little Nissan Sentra, and went and saved a couple flags from being burnt. Oh. But that was my original start. So I've watched Portland go downhill. I guess that means for the last 25 years. So the stuff that you're seeing, the new stuff with the ICE protests and the stuff with now the Venezuela protests and all that, it's not new. It's not new. Portland votes this stuff in. Portland loves it. And this ties me back into what I said before earlier. We don't have real sports teams other than the Timbers, which I guess are a mediocre soccer team. Sometimes they do good, sometimes they don't. But we have the Timbers. Other than that, we don't have real sports here. So apparently Antifa is our sports team for the Professional Sports League of Protesting. And that's where we're at with that. But yeah, I'm going to run out of battery here soon. I appreciate everybody that's hung out with me. I'm going to look. I haven't looked, but I'm going to look when I get off here. If I reach 300, then thank you so much. If I even came close, I try not to pay attention to it while I'm live streaming because I'm not focused on it. But I'll tell you what, when I see the numbers later, I feel really good. And I brag to my wife and she tells me, shut up, because I get excited. I'm like, oh, I got another 50 subscribers. Because like I said, it feels good if people want to hang out with you and are interested in your opinion and what you got going on. I don't claim to be smarter than anybody. Patriot Force hat. I don't know what that means, but it sounds cool. B Caveman. Are you local? Why does that name sound familiar? Either you're local or I've seen you on Bill's, Mr. Bill's. It's been real bad since they decriminalized drugs. I don't think it got any worse. I think it just got more evident. I think it was out in the open. People weren't hiding it anymore. Oh, Newburgh. Okay, you said that a little bit ago. Yes. Yeah, I know. I'm shutting it off in a minute, babe.
It's not that.
Yeah, it's been real since they decriminalized drugs. Oh, what's her name? There's a new girl, Haley, that's been running around, and she did a video with Chelly. Her and Chelly did a video on the homeless in downtown Portland, and they went by the old, I don't even think they said what it was, but you'll see them go by this building that's a big red brick building, a really plain looking, almost looks like a school or a park bathroom or something. And Ground Zero what? Oh, I'll talk about that in a second really quick. Is it Haley West? Okay. She did a video with, and they go by this red brick building, and what they don't say is that used to be the Greyhound depot. That used to be the bus station. And it got so bad and so filled with drugs and so infested with homeless people that they had to shut it down and put the Greyhound in Union Station. And now it's just a big supermarket for druggies. It's so bad. It used to be, because I remember I had gone out of Greyhound there. I used to take buses and trains all the time. And it used to be a bus station. 2000, let me see. I was living in Colton. So like 2015, 2016, it was still a bus station. I took a bus back from Vegas and somebody had to pick me up there. So it hasn't been that long ago that they shut it down. Yes, it is getting supper time. I was going to say something. Oh, yeah, okay. But yeah, watch some videos, Haley West or CK, I don't know, Barachi? Honey Badger Mom. That's what you guys all know her as. Honey Badger Mom. I know her as Jelly because I've known her for years. She does great work. Sad they shut that down. It is. It was kind of neat. It wasn't pretty or anything, but it was kind of a neat train station or a bus station. And I've been in bus stations all around the country. It was actually kind of cool and kind of different. Kevin Bell Green 2 is good. Okay, I haven't checked that out yet. The name sounds familiar, like maybe I have. If you see something that Mr. Bill puts down there, because he watches a lot more channels than I do, go ahead and write it down and check them out, because if Mr. Bill recommends them, then I'll recommend them too. Everything that he's ever posted, I'm like, oh, I got to check that out. So if he recommends it, then I would say I recommend it too, because I'm going to watch whatever he recommends, so I'll recommend it to you too. The Ground Zero thing, Ground Zero PDX, I'm going to end with this. Some of you know I'm a biker. I don't like mixing my bike stuff with politics stuff. I have two different channels for a reason. I ride with people of all different political persuasions, all different lifestyles. When we're all on our motorcycles, it doesn't matter. We don't talk about stuff like that. We just enjoy our hobby together and our lifestyle together. So I don't want to offend any of my riding friends with my sometimes extreme opinion. I had a party, a concert at my house a few years ago, and after the party I realized that I had a riding group online. and it had an enrollment of people that were in my riding group. And I noticed a few names missing, and one of them was a neighbor of mine that lived a couple blocks away. And next time I seen him in town, I'm like, bro, you're not on the page anymore. And he's like, no, I had to. He says, we're not going to argue about it. I just had to back off. And I said, well, what happened? Did you not enjoy the party or whatever? And he said, well, my wife and I decided that you're a little too political for us. We don't want to do the activism thing and whatever. And I said, whoa, wait a minute. I've never mixed up the motorcycle and political stuff. He said, we went to your property, we went to the concert, and your whole barn wall was covered in pro-Trump stuff. And we don't agree with that, and we don't want to fight about it. So we're not. They were super kind and super cool and respectful. They weren't calling me a Trumper or anything like that. They're just like, we don't agree, and we like you, and we don't want to fight with you about it, so we're just going to back away. And that hit me, because they're good people. I still see them. We wave, we talk, whatever, good people. But I shooed somebody I liked away with my politics, and I never want to do that. I never want to do that. I don't want to be that extreme. And I always thought that I kept enough difference between the two aspects of my life. But I don't ride dual sport. I'm a Harley guy. I ride Harleys, and then I also have, and the thing is, I know they're like the vanilla toast of the bike world, but I want to get a Versus because I'm a Suzuki fan. So I'm working on kind of maybe my next bike, if I can park it next to my Harley, is going to be a dual sport because I live close to mountains and logging roads and gravel roads and stuff like that, and I want to keep going where on my Harley I have to turn around and go back down the hill. But anyways, so that's just sad though. It is sad. But I kind of pushed away some people that I wanted to be friends with. So now I try to keep the two separate. And it's not that I'm any less in my views. It's not that I'm changing any of my opinions. It's not that I'm not the same person I am. I'm just compartmentalizing. Because I've also had a couple of people that I ride with that have came to me and asked me about my politics and had good conversations with me because I haven't pushed it on them. They're like, bro, I didn't know you were so strong opinion on your politics, and you're a big conservative and an activist and all this, and you were a Proud Boy, and you that Patriot Prayer thing and all of that. I had no idea, dude. And then they ask me questions because they're like, why didn't you say anything about I said, because this is a different thing. We're not doing that. If you come with me on a Saturday when there's an event downtown, you'll find that out. Baby, in a minute, okay, baby? What? Do you want on my lap? Yeah, he's confused. He doesn't know. He's enamored. But anyway, so I say all that to say that I keep the 650 DS Suzuki. Yes, that I want something of that sort. I want a Versus because they're like the Honda Civic. You can easy fix them. There's parts everywhere, anyways. But I say all that to say this. Apparently Ground Zero PDX was in an accident night before last, I think. I still don't know for sure because I haven't had the kid is saying chat to make sure to like and subscribe. Yeah, Mr. Billy is. He's saying give the thumbs up. He was in an accident either. They're saying it's a motorcycle accident. Now, I don't know if it's actual like motorcycle like I've got, or if it was somebody said that he rides like an e-scooter type thing or something. Either way, apparently it was pretty bad. I'm going to have to reach out and find out what's going on. I guess he's okay, but not okay kind of thing. So,
Fist bump, Grandpa.
fist bump? What?
No chocolate.
No, you get no chocolate, no bite. No bite. You want? Hey, can I finish real quick? Yeah, that's what I thought. But anyways, so some stuff happened to him. Ground Zero PDX. Support him. He's in the Tommy squad. If you don't like Tommy, you're probably not going to like him, but I say give him a try anyways. give him a try anyways. He does really good work. Well, he's probably not going to be down there for a bit if he's been hurt, but he lives close to ice, so he's down there up close and personal all the time. I'm going to reach out to him as soon as I find out what exactly happened, because a biker down is not okay. Yeah, it's just not okay. Ground Zero PDX on YouTube. Yes, Ground Zero PDX on YouTube. His name is Shane. I'm up to 302. Holy crap. 9 stitches on his knee. Well, see, you guys know more than I do. Damn it. I'm a miss. Like I said, I tried to go to a protest today, and apparently it got rained out. Apparently no war for oil unless it's raining. If it's raining too hard, you guys can do whatever you want. We're not going to protest. That's what I found out today. So apparently they had a protest. Somebody told me about it. I got a tip, and it took me about 45 minutes to get there, and they were already gone. Apparently they were there for like a half hour and was like, it's too wet. We don't care. Do what you're going to do. We're going home. Yes, Shane from Ground Zero PDX. You guys give him something. 5%. 5%. I've really got to... Yeah, Shane posted that earlier today on YouTube. Shane, Ground Zero Shane posted that, or the other Shane? Because you know there's like 20 Shanes down there. Mixing stories, methinks. Mixing stories on what? Am I not getting this right about Ground Zero PDX? Yeah, probably. And I've actually talked about Shane on my channel and whatnot, so maybe it's, same circles they assume. Great kids. Ground Zero PDX is Shane. Yeah, somebody said mixing stories. I don't know if I'm getting my story mixed up. I'm just kind of going off of what I heard. Patriot Shane is the other one. Teefers like to say Shane. All right, see, I'm going to have to figure this out. All I know is somebody said Ground Zero PDX, who is one of the Shanes. Patriot Shane is Shane without a Y. Yeah. Okay. All right. Veli rides e-bike, hit a pole. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, it was Veli's pole. Veli hit a pole with his e-bike and literally knocked the metal traffic pole over. That was kind of funny. Not that he got into a wreck, but the fact that even the pole could not stand up to Veli and his e-bike. Were you watching it live, Rick Edwards? Because I did. I just saw his X post or whatever afterwards. They both hang out with Tommy. Yes, they do. They both do hang out with Tommy. But like I said, there's like 20 Shanes down there, so it's kind of hard to figure out which Shane we're talking about. Anyways, guys, my phone is about to die, and I have to move it somewhere else to plug it in, and then you guys are going to see my messy bedroom. So I can't do that. And you guys see there's a 2.5-year-old begging for my attention and my stomach begging for dinner. So I really, Ground Zero was in the ER due to a motorcycle injury. Okay, that's what I was saying. Hopefully I'm correct on that. I appreciate everybody who's still watching me. I really severely appreciate so much that you guys are still watching, because I did not mean to be on this long. The fact that you guys are still watching me up to this long is awesome. Thanks, Mr. Bill, for sending people this way. Thanks for being you, dude, because you're one of the coolest out there. Mr. Bill, you're a badass. I'll give a shout out to my friends. Watch Ground Zero. Watch Patriot Shane. Watch, who else did I meet? I met, there's Skylar. I'm not sure if his channel is Skylar or not. There's Right Side Rebel. There's, of course, Mr. Bill. You guys know only Mr. Bill. All these, there's so many Patriots, guys. There's somebody for everybody. No matter who you are, what you like, you're going to like one of these streamers out there. Go check them all out. Ones you don't like, don't watch. The ones you do, support with everything you got, because it feels good and it makes us want to do more. It really does. Everybody here tonight listening, have a great night. Yes, everybody have a wonderful night. The fact that when you give support, when you give a thumbs up, when you, even if I got one extra subscriber today, it makes me want to do another one. So yeah, hug your loved ones. Yes, definitely hug your loved ones. If you got a little grandkid, go play with them like I'm gonna. That kid is my life. I made a lot of mistakes in my life. I'm trying not to make them with him. So anyways, I seriously got to get off here because my phone goes dead. It might not post. Love you guys. I appreciate all of you. All you guys, if you haven't, give me the thumbs up or subscribed. I'm going to ask you to do. I don't ask for money. I'm not monetized. I don't do any of that. Just help me out. Share it if you want to. Let everybody know that that I'm not a moron. I'm worth listening to, at least at some point in the live stream. Okay, guys. Appreciate it. Peace and Patriot on.